Good evening, Overwatch fans, and welcome back to Contenders Trials. We're back once again in the North American division as we are ready to see a David and Goliath matchup with open division champs, the Maryville Saints versus Susanoo, followed by Wisp versus the reigning champs, Vite Ramen Revival. Will the Saints retake control of the streets and cling to their contenders' lives, or will Susanoo continue to reign supreme and just crush their dreams in between? We're about to find out. My name's Captain Jack, and I'll be your play-by-play for the evening, joined by the stylish Beak on production, or on analyst rather, and Vinicius on production. Beak, I truly almost thought with us coming up together that I wouldn't get a chance to cast with you at this level, but you know what? Here we are, and holy crap, what a banger of a couple of matches we got coming up.
Yeah, we really have an incredible night of Overwatch, ahead of us today, and then also just kind of setting the stage for tomorrow. And I think coming into this week, at least for me, that there was, three top teams here in NA Trials. You had Susanoo, you had Revival at the very, very top, and then you also had, I think, Obey Alliance with just the name brand recognition, kind of the top, and you had Wisp, you had the Saints, and you have Ardor kind of fighting to get that last spot in that the top four of these Contenders Trials. However, Wisp went out and beat Susanoo last night, and now this makes this game all the more interesting, because this makes it a must-win game for both of these teams, because Susanoo's 2-1, and they don't want to lose to the Saints here, because I think they play Revival tomorrow, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And then, of course, the Saints, they need to get a win here. They got a win against Ardor last night, but they need to prove that they're a little bit better than that bottom tier, and Susanoo might be vulnerable now that Wisp has proven effective to beat them. So there's a lot at stake here, and of course there's a lot at stake in any of these games, but now that we're coming into the last couple of games of this week of Contenders Trials, it's all the more weighted here.
Yeah, just looking at the map differential between those mid-tier teams, as you kind of noted, Revival and Ardor are pretty much locked at opposite ends of the spectrum right now, but just the map differential is just minuscule points, folks. Between these, Susanoo and Wisp have one map differential difference. Obey Alliance and Wisp have one map differential difference, and Obey and Maryville have two. Like, these next two games truly can switch up the top four in a moment's notice. There is no idea what we are going to be seeing tonight. Both of these teams are incredibly talented. I mean, of course they are. They wouldn't be here if they weren't. And starting off on Nepal is definitely going to give us an idea of what those compositions are going to look like, especially on the Sanctum, the only map in rotation for Nepal that you will be able to get those quick eliminations right off the side of the map. Now, the question is, will the teams take advantage of that to make their lives maybe a little bit easier, or will they just go out for the straight-off brawl off the point?
Yeah, this is probably the biggest curiosity I have coming into Nepal specifically, because the other 2 points are pretty strict May brawl of some kind. But as we see the two teams kind of getting here and spawn, you never know what they're going to come out with. But I do like the differing philosophies so far, that at least that they're, kind of flirting with, so to speak. I doubt that Foreshadow is going to pop out on the Genji because he is the hit scan. So I do expect a more of a brawl style to come out for both teams. I think they're going to try and kite both sides, try and get onto that point and take that point away from each other as fast as early as possible. So both of these teams are going to come out on that Reinhardt.
All right, we do see Papaya using the teleporter to get people out of spawn and swapping quickly over to that McCree. So we are going to see that McCree battle between them and Foreshadow as the Maywall already coming up, trying to create space between the teams right now. As we go ahead and see Light trying to see if they can get an icicle between the eyes of anyone for the side of Susanoo, and the point is unlocked, and they're just still battling it out on this side. Area Side throws up the wall, seeing if they can grab some value, but Cameron continuing to hold strong for now. There it comes, the boop comes in for Panic, and the Shatter comes in a huge booping sigh right off the side, and that's going to be control for the Saints as they start their percentage climb.
Yeah, it's honestly amazing how all of that fight just takes place over in that back corner near the Mega with all the danger, but you need to take that high ground just to have control over this map. And great shatter coming up by Cameron here early on, and you see the support ultimates for the Saints are already online, whereas Angelic is a lot more behind, but in fact it could turn things around with this shatter.
All right, making their way into the objective now. Susanoo looking to try to create some space. Maywall ends up not catching Cameron out the way that they had hoped and trying to provide some protection now against the DPS of Maryville. Oh no, Sai ended up getting Cameron this time around, but it might be too little too late. There's just too much damage in the backline as Kraken trying to see if they can get those DPS. The immortality comes in. Oh! The boop comes out as it looks like they will, Kraken will use the boosters to be able to get back up, but the Deadeye does find Switch in the meantime. Angelic with the double kill right there, as it looks like we will see Susanoo take control, but the bomb comes in. Not able to find the value that they're looking for, and now it's all about the feed as these teams just try to see if they can regain control.
And the fight still seems to keep going as the Blizzard comes out by Sai, and it seems that it finally has turned for Gummy and Infected and the rest of the squad. But I mean, already 70% on this capture point. This is a lot, but so many ultimates still being invested.
That's true, and it's all about the stall here on Control. Light just trying to create as much space, as much of a percentage as possible as Angelic sends Light right on over the side, and there comes the trade. Kraken getting ready to invest themselves on the objective, and you see right there Halo getting ready to go in as well. They're up to 90%. Maryville knows that this is their last opportunity to show what they have to do here in Contenders, and Angelic sends Halo right on over the side, pick after pick. Overtime now ticking away, and now Maryville can take a deep breath and let go of the objective because they got plenty of time to take it back.
I mean, excellent showing already by the Saints coming out strong on Nepal's Sanctum. I mean, it wouldn't be Sanctum if you didn't see a couple Lucio boops off the side there. There's another one by Angelic actually popping off here. Foreshadow's going to have this high noon to get some space as we see the Saints quickly try and reset and try and get a full 6. Cameron does have that Shadow ready to go. No support ult online here for either of these squads, so watch out for Foreshadow. Try and use this high noon to get out any of the utility from the DM or even the Immortality field early.
All right, the Deadeye used to zone out, but the Maywall comes up for a Light, trying to see if they can create some space and wear that Deadeye out, but the percentage continuing to climb. Sai looking to see Light looking to see if they can grab Angelic. That Lucio just riding it out as the Maywall separates out Cameron from the team. Oh, the shatter. It is fat. And Halo with the double boop onto Sai and Switch right on over the side. At the 55% mark, it looks like Control can go back to the side of Maryville, but the numbers just aren't there for them as Gummy gets the double kill with the self-destruct. 65% in climbing for Susanoo.
Halo gets served on a gold and silver platter there. The perfect boop after that shatter by Cameron, getting a fast shatter, and it's still not enough as that percentage still captures up to 75%. This could feasibly be one of the last fights, and look at the ult advantage that Susanoo has between the support line and the shatter coming up soon.
All right, Ant Matrices let out from either side. The Fire Strike goes through, doesn't find a body to connect with, though. And we do see those ultimates ready and raring to go on the line. They have to watch the rotation because Infected has that shatter ready and raring to go. The Deadeye now being popped out from Foreshadow, and Foreshadow's Halo heading back to spawn. Papaya Pete finding Angelic as well. There's no Lucio on the objective, so no boops for them. Gummy getting trapped in the side room. Overtime ticking away. Maryville's got to touch that objective, and there goes overtime now ticking away in Maryville's favor as the Blizzard comes out, keeping Infected trapped in that side room as Sai now moving over to the Torbjorn, trying to see if they can provide some additional damage with that turret, and the turret does end up grabbing Cameron from behind, but Papaya Pete able to grab that double kill from the side area. Now we're seeing the battle of the balls on point. Kraken and Gummy looking to see if they can hold together, but Panic grabs that double kill. The Deadeye finds Foreshadow, and 100 to 99, Maryville takes the lead on Sanctum.
What a gritty start to this match. And the biggest moment came in that last fight when the High Noon kills Angelic mid-beat. So that was super important for Susanoo to get that beat to sustain. And they actually had the advantage in that fight because Halo died at 91% of his beat. All right, so things were looking up really good for Susanoo there until that beat and just completely mistimed. And, you had all these different hero swaps to try and contest. And it was a close battle to the end. And we had Sai try to get that the Blizzard out and just wasn't able to do it. So early lead for the Saints here, coming out swinging. They know that their trials life is on the line.
All right, Maryville not ready to give up just yet. Again, using the teleporter to get their team onto the point quickly, and it looks like Angelic is able to get their team there just as quickly. Foreshadow and Papaya Pete looking for that McCree battle once again. The Light and Sai getting ready to play some Tetris on the objective with the Maywalls as we see Cameron caught out, and Switch ends up getting the elimination on them. Papaya Pete able to find Foreshadow though, so a lot of damage off that objective. Side does find Papaya Pete in return though, and the trade just continues on. Light almost up to that Blizzard already. Kraken has the Diva Bomb online, and it's not going to be enough as control goes to Susanoo.
Yeah, I believe Kraken's just going to try and get that, re-mech here, but I think he is getting hard staggered, as that's a brutal loss for another 10 seconds or so for the Saints. But, great start by Susanoo. I mean, just when you thought they had a couple people lost early in that fight, just being able to take it to them with the advantage of the DPS line. Right? So Sai already has 70% to that May, as well as Light kind of matching him in that regard. So we're going to watch, again, more formulaic Overwatch that we have. We're going to open it up with a window here on both sides to try and get that immortality field out.
All right, the window does indeed get opened up as the damage just starts pouring through from either direction. We will end up seeing Foreshadow find Panic, so the window's not going to be coming out from Maryville anytime soon. Infected looking to see if they can get the follow-up on Cameron, but Gummy ends up getting there first, and the percentage continues to climb for Susanoo.
Yeah, that early pick on the Panic just means an automatic fight win, honestly, for Susanoo, as they're in good shape here, as they are, being able to catch the Saints on these, any type of these flanks. They're going to take the fight right to them in this choke. This is actually a great spot if they play this correctly.
All right, the immortality field comes out for either side as the Blizzard getting invested, but big eat from Gummy. Light not going to be able to create the space that they were hoping for. Cameron does end up getting the trade with Switch there, so it's a 5v5 fight. Tank versus healer off this objective. The Deadeye trying to find anyone, but does create space to at least get them off that high ground. Foreshadow trying to push them back, but it's not going to be enough. Light, the only one caught in the Blizzard of Sai, and will get taken down by Light after the Blizzard wears away. And now Cameron in that fight looking to see if they can take Infected out, and Kraken is indeed cracked right now as that double kill comes in. We'll see control swapping on over to Maryville.
Yeah, and that eat by Gummy, and has not been their first eat in this trials last couple of weeks. It has been really impressive, just the awareness that they've had, and nevertheless they still lose the fight. Just shows how well the Saints were able to come back around that, and they still have both of these support ultimates, and both teams have this ready to go. So it's going to be a matter of who flinches first with this beat. I think is really important, because Light is already 65% of the way there to his next Blizzard, right? So I don't even know if the rest of Susanoo knows that he's that close.
All right, Susanoo getting ready to move their way in. The Shatter does find Kraken, and the beat is invested by Halo. Shatter comes in return, but the Diva Bomb going in the back from Gummy. Cameron finds Gummy before they're able to get back into the remech, and everyone stays alive. But Switch coming out with a double kill of their own, believing that the DPS just not doing enough work to keep the point in their favor at 46%. Now overtime ticking away for Susanoo.
And I talked about, who's going to blink first, right, with that beat. And honestly, the Infected Shatter only getting one or two around the shield of Cameron proved to be enough, right? That proved to me, make sure that beat was thrown out. And then they had to counter beat that in aggression with, success, obviously, for the Susanoo, as they now have tied up this Nepal. As we head to Village here, will surely be a lot of sim action, as I see we already have Foreshadow on that character. I haven't seen a lot of Reaper, which is surprising, but you need to have the May at the very least to be able to cut people off and to be able to use that initiations, corner out people in those chokes. So it all comes down to this, and who's going to have the better sim? It seems like Foreshadow's going to be the only one on sim, or maybe they'll swap back to McCree here. We'll see.
We shall indeed see. The teleporter comes out, and it looks like Foreshadow gonna stick with it. Gotta have that speed to get to point, and with Village having such a small area to work in, it's really going to be up to the Saints to see if they can push in and not just get completely melted. They already see the turrets up as we see the Immortality Field going down, and so does Cameron. Just too much damage and not able to get past that Maywall fast enough. It looks like Papaya Pete gonna get stuck out as well, as the Maywall keeps them from escaping, and control goes to Susanoo.
And there's just the advantage of getting on point early with a Mei and Sim. It's just so hard to dislodge them when you have no ultimates to use at the beginning of that fight, as they have to reset here. And Papaya Pete already has that high noon to be able to use, but we're going to be getting closer here to some more initiator fight as we go here into this fight.
All right, we see the high noon coming out from Papaya Pete, waiting for the wall to fall, but it doesn't come out soon enough. Now we're going to see the Amp Matrix invested by Panic, as well as Switch, just trading blows over and over. It looks like Immortalities are the only ones that are going to fall, and now here it comes, the barrier out from Foreshadow, trying to create some space to work with, and Infected is just now unhinged. They know that they are protected on that objective as we continue to see them hold strong.
Yeah, I mean, just the longer these fights go, obviously the more advantage it is for the composition that has a sim that's already established on point. You see how effective that wall is coming out mid-fight, and they still have both of these tank ultimates ready to go. And of course, the Saints are going to have to do that here, but they're actually going to take this fight outside of the point, which is surprising, and that's catching the Saints by surprise clearly.
All right, back into the action we go, as we see Susanoo on that high ground, looking to see if they can get the picks. Light now coming in as the Doomfist, looking to see if they can grab some value, and do end up finding Foreshadow. Now, if they can get those turrets off the objective, it may create space for them to continue to work, but Susanoo just ready and raring to go for the next fight.
It's really impressive so far. I mean, just the initiation that Susanoo took there completely took the Saints by surprise. And that could be the difference here. As Halo is close getting to that beat, though, is again, who's going to be able to flinch first, because Angelic has his own.
All right, here we go. The last chance for Maryville to take this objective. The Blizzard coming out now for Psy, looking to clean up Maryville, but Papaya Pete ends up grabbing Switch in the back line, and now we see the swaps coming in as Foreshadow is now on the Tracer, looking to see if they can get back to this objective as quickly as possible to keep it in their favor. Overtime ticking away as Kraken being the last to fall, and 100-0. Susanoo saying they are not ready to let this go yet as they take Nepal.
Yeah, it seems that they had a bit of a lull period in Nepal Sanctum there, you know, handing that one over before finally getting these last two maps or on Nepal to take this early 1-0 lead. But really it was that last part which I think was really great, is that the Shatter by Infected at the same time of the bomb from Gummy was able to find two. Just really was the difference maker in that last fight, and just total dominance by Susanoo there. And I think, again, that sim on point was just so hard for the Saints to dislodge.
Yeah, it seemed like everything that they tried to throw at it just was not working out for them. You know, whether it be just those tiny little bits of positioning, you know, just being just outside of the shield, or just not around that wall in enough time, just really made or break how the Saints were able to engage and disengage there. And then we ended up seeing some swaps coming out from Susanoo, and you know, it really created the space that they needed to be able to push in and be as effective as they were. Their absolute aggression, especially what we saw on Shrine, it was like every single place that Maryville was showing up, they're like, oh, you're coming in here? Oh, we're already here. I'm sorry. This is not an entrance for you. We're not allowing you to do that. So go back to spawn. That's where you are going to go. So Susanoo is obviously showing that they are not ready to give up their spot. They are mad about last night in their fight with Wisp. We know that for a fact. And they are ready and raring to go to lock down their second place spot so that they can make their way into Contenders.
I completely agree, and that was my assessment as well. I think the biggest thing that I was looking for coming into this game is how is Susanoo going to react to the loss they had last night, because like we talked about before the broadcast, it's a slippery slope. If Susanoo lost that game, it's okay, they're 2-1, but there's a decent amount of parity in the middle of this table in the trials. So if they lose this one, then they're in some deep trouble, right? And the Saints actually are then starting to breathe life because they're both 2-2. So, you know, it's most important to see how is Susanoo going to react. And they've clearly are taking the aggression and pressing W into the Saints in some of the most unconventional places, right? In the choke and the top left and the Paul shrine there. And then also just taking it in the choke as well as Nepal village with the sim. And usually you expect with the sim and May composition to sit in the back, on point there. And now that next map is what we're going to be heading into is going to be Blizzard World. So I'm sure we'll see more of the same May McCree composition. I don't know if we'll see much of the sim. However, we did see some sim comps break out in the EU just a couple hours earlier on Blizzard World. So maybe NA was watching and taking notes, and we'll see some of that here today. But I think I kind of doubt that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember, right, that it is not Maryville Saints' first time in Contenders trials. They've been here before. They know that the level that they've got to play at. So I'm sure that they have been studying Susanoo very, very closely when coming to this game. You know, we always consider the first control to be a warm-up for both teams. It just gives them an idea of where the line is. And right now, Susanoo is setting the line very, very deep into Maryville territory, saying that, nope, you're not going anywhere. We're not allowing you to take the spot from us like Wisp tried to do last night. We are locking this down, and there's no way that you're going to be here. Maryville now have to adapt and overcome. They have to find a way to turn this around and put it in their favor so that they can tie this up before the half.
They really do. And Susanoo, you have to wonder, when you watched that game last night, was it more of Wisp just executing better than Susanoo, or was it Susanoo just not on their game? And I'm sure if you ask Susanoo players that they weren't on their game, right? And that they definitely feel that they're better than the Wisp team. So this is their chance to prove that was just a fluke here as we head into Blizzard World with the Saints on the attack.
All right. We're looking to see where they're going to move their way in now. As we see Susanoo trying to see if they can get that initial pick as they move into the first objective. It's really going to be the pace of Maryville to try to go ahead and lock this down. They want to keep the payload as close as possible so the fight is easy for them when they go on the attack. But no, it looks like they are just getting pushed back so aggressively. Not a pick to be had, but Halo being the first to go down there to foreshadow first tick on the objective as the picks just continue to fly in. They're just trying to hold on to this objective. Second tick now for Susanoo is infected, able to get the follow-up onto Cameron. And it looks like that is going to be all she wrote for Objective Alpha. Only a minute 10 off the clock, and Susanoo are going to take to the street.
And it's been all Saints so far. And the one thing that really sticks out to me is the proactiveness of the Saints here, at least early going, always being the first one to wall. It almost seemed like Cameron and the rest of Susanoo was waiting to bait out the wall from the Saints, but the wall was just better, right? And that just was able to cut off Infected just a little bit more and gave them all of the space on the point that they needed, as a lot of ultimates are coming online for the Saints really early here.
All right, back in the fight we go as we see Foreshadow having the Deadeye online. That Amp Matrix providing a lot of damage, but remember, it's still an open window, and Papaya Pete does end up finding Angelic. This might be exactly what Maryville Saints need to be able to push in on this, but the Deadeye coming out for Foreshadow is looking, searching any head that they can click, but not going to allow it to happen. And now Papaya Pete coming out with a Deadeye of their own. The Blizzard flies out from light, trying to lock down the objective as quickly as possible. And it does not matter. It does not matter that they can get away from it. They are locked out. And we will see at the 420 mark that Maryville will take control.
And the moment that, Cameron and the rest of the Saints was able to take control of that high ground after all those ults being used between the two windows and the walls there, that's when you just knew that fight, the next preceding fight, was going to go their way as well, because you have that control of the high ground. You can shoot freely from there, especially as Papaya Pete was just unloading with that Peacekeeper. So that was just all advantage them, as they are going to be relocating here with this bomb. Might be troublesome. Doesn't find anybody, but there is still plenty of ults that Susanoo has to play with here, as does the Saints.
And honestly, maybe the goal was just to get Psy's wall out of position.
Right.
Obviously, they had to invest that in order to be able to push in, and now we see Susanoo on this high ground trying to aggress the window open, and the shatter just breaks them open like a tin can. Now we see the beat invested from both sides, trying to keep their teams alive as much as they possibly can. Diva Bomb now coming in from Gummy, looking to see what they can find, and Switch does end up grabbing Light at the end of that tunnel. Foreshadow and Gummy able to get the follow-up, as well as the payload moves its way into Objective Bravo with 3 minutes on the clock. They have grabbed it, another minute and a half added to the clock as they make their way into the castle.
That shatter by Infected on the high ground, also getting some people on the low ground. I gotta love those Ryan mechanics sometimes. Was just nasty though, right? And that caused the rest of Maryville to have to invest in all of, like, in both support ults, and of course that gave them the upper hand. But it just wasn't enough for them, as they were able to pull into this with over 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go, as Papaya Pete does find an early pick, so they will have to back up here into a wall.
Yeah, it's all about burning time off the clock right now. Obviously, if they can hold Objective 3, that's really going to work out well for them. But, you know, it's really going to be up to them to try to see if they can burn at very least as much time as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we have the High Noon be coming out, just trying to get the wall out. And the high Noon doesn't get anybody, but in fact it does get frozen up, and he has no control over his body there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Light just has a zeroed vision onto Infected, knowing that as soon as that blizzard comes down, Infected isn't going to be holding up that shield. They're going to be trying to get the heck out of dodge. So between the blizzard and the cryo gun, their goal is to try to lock it down. And here we go once again, because the Maywall ends up negating the Ant Matrix of Switch as they try to push in, but it doesn't matter. They don't need it. They don't need it. And they're just going to go ahead and melt them down, clicking 4 heads, 4 shadow right there. Just helping clean up the objective right now. The only one able to get away in the end is Panic. That payload's going to keep moving.
And Cameron goes for a somewhat cheeky shatter there, right kind of peeking through with that third-person view. The only does get 1 or 2 down, but just doesn't get enough kills with it. Gets really low, and of course they have to be able to turn back. That's what gives Susanoo the advantage here with the more ultimates coming up with Kraken.
Oh my gosh, Light or Psy put up the Maywall trying to block the Diva Bomb, but instead of blocking it, it literally just perched it up like a tower for all to see, grabbing that triple kill right there, and that's going to be a quick reset for the side of Susanoo.
Oh, that was so absolutely perfect now. I mean, they had no idea what was coming, and clearly through the kill feed, it reflected that. But as the window already early comes out, they will have to form and come back here as Papaya Pete throwing out the High Noon to be able to make them come back, right? It's all about building out and creating this space and pushing out with all this utility.
Yep, they've already worn them down to the 2-minute mark, and Light has that blizzard ready and raring to go on the line. We see the Maywall trying to separate out the team, and it looks like Gummy is ready and waiting, ready to eat them up that blizzard as quickly as possible, but Kraken taking their attention on the high ground, and there it comes. The blizzard comes in, it doesn't get eaten, and Panic able to grab Infected in the midst of it. They're going to go ahead and chase Susanoo down once again with another 30 seconds off the clock.
And the pressure was all on Gummy there, like you said, because Angelic just didn't have anywhere close to a beat. They had to invest it a little bit earlier in that fight. So it's just a quick reset here for them. But as the bomb comes out, they want to push into this right here, right now.
Ooh, and there we go. We see the beat invested as we see the pick coming in on Angelic. Switch trading off for Papaya Pete. And now with the 5v5, It's truly anyone's game right now. The Maywall negating the damage of the amplification matrix, and the blizzard now coming out from a Sai. Cameron falling low, gets taken down by Gummy, and with only a minute remaining on the clock, it looks like Susanoo has control again.
Slowly but surely as we are heading into this last point, but I mean, I think things are looking good for Susanoo as they have a good advantage on their beat here, whereas they don't really have a lot to work with other than this blizzard coming in by light, so it has to be right here, but Gummy is sure aware of what's going on with that.
Ooh, there we go. Sai able to take down the immortality, and the Deadeye from Papaya Pete does find Foreshadow, so it's a 5v6, and the spawn's right there. They just gotta lock it down. Angelic does find Papaya amidst the chaos, and we see the Remake now coming back in for Kraken as they go ahead and try to chase down Switch. They are unsuccessful thus far, but Panic does find Gummy. Kraken does eventually find Switch, and with only 10 seconds on the clock, they got
they can touch this. I mean, Angelic almost has beat, so as long as they can touch, they will be able to have something to work with as long as they get there, and it does seem like he will, but they have to get out with his life.
All right, Angelic coming in with the beat, trying to provide as much support as they can, but Cameron ends up sending in the Shatter just to create some space between them and the members of on the objective. We see the picks coming in, Deadeye trying to amplify through that matrix, and it is just a feed fest at this point. 0.79 meters remain, and Maryville Saints will lock down this objective just shy of Point Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, great job by the Saints to be able to take a lot of time out of those fights, no matter what. I mean, even with a somewhat fast push by Susanoo through streets, I mean, just think how long that point C takes. And just that they were executing perfectly in terms of that flowchart Overwatch, being able to throw that window out, try and get the wall out from the enemy team, getting out the immortality field next, and be able to really forcefully aggress onto them. This really was the difference maker. I mean, it was really close to the end. So, I mean, credit to Susanoo for getting there as well. So, I mean, this is really great for if you're the Saints and if you're a Saints fan, because they have a very clear winning condition of tying up this match in this series just by completing the map or getting even, one more inch or 1 more meter closer to it. As we see, they are going to be coming out here. So I've been really happy with seeing what the Saints have been able to bring to this game so far.
Yes, indeed. The Saints being able to lock down that final point actually puts them in a great position. Of course, as we know with Hybrid and Escort, it's always difficult to get that last point. Yeah. So there is no guarantee that they'll even be able to get close to where they need to get, but they have created a win condition. There isn't going to be a round 3 and 4. This is it.
One thing I do want to see here, though, from Susanoo is how long they can hold first point. Right, we saw that the Saints weren't able to hold that first point really at all on their defense. So really, this is going to be a matter of how much longer can they hold on the first point to be able to delay that much time as possible, but only make their lives easier in that third point.
All right, here we go once again. Maryville looking to make their way into the objective right now and looking to see if they can get that initial pick. Very similar to what we saw from the side of Susanoo on their attack. They gotta burn down Infected Shield as quickly and as furiously as possible, but it looks like the rotation is just working out for Susanoo, and now the Maywall comes up from Sai, separating out Cameron from the rest of the team, but it's not enough. They're able to rotate around it very successfully and keep them up in light. Ends up finding Foreshadow, and with that immense amount of damage out of the fight, and the Ant Matrix is up for either side. First tick, Ori invested on the objective as Kraken heads to the high ground, ends up finding Infected. Second and third tick ends up bringing them up to 5 minutes 30 seconds to make their way to the streets.
Well, Jack, it seems like no one really feels like holding on point A on Blizzard World. I mean, to be fair, there is not a lot of natural cover to be able to work with, especially on the defensive side. And you did see Susanoo try and take the aggression really early on to try and get that and just try and get the advantage there, and it didn't really work out. They didn't do any kills, and that's what led the Saints to have that advantage, as they are going to try and take this fight on the point here real quick.
Whoa! The shatter goes fat in the backline from Infected, and the cleanup is immediate and deadly. The picks just continue to come in, and as Cameron trying to take Infected off the side doesn't work out, and Susanoo retake control.
And this is a perfect point in place for Susanoo to take. I mean, look where they're positioning. They're not even going. They're going past the payload. They're going right to the spawn, because the more time they can take off of this is almost like a Havana first kind of defense spawn hold, right? The longer they can do this, the better they can. But they're, the Saints are going to be smart, and they're going to rotate all the way around, or at least fake all the way around. And they do have a beat ready to go in case they want to be really aggressive here.
Ooh, high noons from either side. As Papaya Pete is looking to utilize that Deadeye, as does Foreshadow. The Shatter comes in, ends up taking down Angelic, I believe, but they're not able to get the follow-up that they are looking for. And now the Blizzard's invested. They catch Gummy out of position and able to get the initial pick onto Psy, and that payload's just going to start moving its way forward. But with the beat invested from Halo, they're going to be able to continue this assault. Angelic does end up finding Panic in the end, and Gummy able to grab Light on that high ground, but it's too little too late as Maryville retakes control of the objective and make their way through the streets.
But that was really good for Susanoo. I mean, look how much time they were able to knock off the clock, and they're just getting to the bridge area of this streets phase. So there's not a lot to work with, though, for Susanoo. It was fairly expensive. I mean, they're going to get the amp matrix here really quick in pretty much every fight. So this is all going to come down to if Infected gets a Shatter here, how much value can he get with this? As the fight is starting early with a bomb.
Diva Bomb goes high, and Switch gets found by the amped Fire Strike there by Cameron. That might be exactly what they need. Inferno out of the fight as well. And Maryville Saints are rolling their way right on into the castle with over 4 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, but we saw the situation with Susanoo on their attack, right? They had a lot of time, and they still weren't able to finish, all right? So it's not over for Susanoo on their defense, as they were all going to be, again, coming up on that Shatter, ready to go for Infected, as Cameron got an effective Shatter on the coming back. But that flank by Light could be dangerous.
That is dangerous, but will it pay off? The DMAC already comes in onto Kraken, so not getting the value that they were hoping for. That Amp Matrix has provided too much, and it looks like the Shatter not going to be far enough to reach who they were looking for. 3 minutes, 45 seconds remain on the clock.
And they have a pretty good defense here. Psy is going to be coming up on that Blizzard, as does Light. So it really is a matter of who's going to use it and when these Divas are going to be able to find, pay dirt with any of these eats.
All right, the Blizzard does come in, and the Deadeye finds Cameron, so that's going to be another 10 seconds shaved off that time bank as Maryville heads back to spawn.
I mean, kudos to Susanoo for taking the aggressive on this fight, but this is a good advantage for the Saints, just being able to kind of bank ultimates here and basically pick the fight that they want to take here with Susanoo at this corner.
All right, they're ready and raring to go. The Maywalls come up, separating out the teams, and now it's Light's turn with a big old Blizzard. Don't even need to use the Deadeye. Double boop over the side from Halo. Halo is just like an angel of death, handing out those halos left, right, and center. Team kill rings out as the payload starts a moving.
Yeah, just when I thought that we had left the Paul Sanctum, Jack, it seems we're right back there. And the Saints are looking really good. Halo obviously got a big boopa there. Was ready to go with this beat here in the sound barrier. As this High Noon is already getting thrown in with the wall.
Ooh, we see the Deadeye come in, able to grab Switch, but the bomb invested from Gummy doesn't find anything in the backline, and now it's going to be up to Kraken trying to lay it down in that backline. The beat now invested from Angelic, trying to keep everybody up in the fight as quickly and as fervently as possible. The Shatter comes out, just trying to keep them away. They are a meter away from victory right now for the Saints, as the Deadeye now coming out from Foreshadow, but ends up finding a deadly end. The Saints take control of Blizzard World, tying it up 1-1 before the half.
And I really think this is all credit to the dominating way that they won that fight at the corner, at the elbow in the beginning part of point C, because Susanoo was really aggressive with their ultimate use and gets a couple kills. And of course, that was able for the Saints to be able to reset. But then they come back and they reset. They use some of their ults, but not all of them. Halo gets that double kill, as you see in the play of the game there. What ends up being play of the game, but then they had a lot of ultimate advantage there. So even when they were able to take the fight on the card in that last fight, and Susanoo was able to beat, that's when the beat from Halo came right back out to counter that. And there's just way too much aggression from the side of the Saints to be able to counteract that from Susanoo. And now we have a tie game.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that Maryville Saints are not ready to give this up yet either. We told you that this was going to be a David and Goliath matchup. Maryville Saints want to make their name known in the Contenders community. They want to be that team that makes their way up, that collegiate team, the first one ever to be able to make it up into North America and continuing to hold strong right now. But Susanoo making it incredibly difficult right now. We'll be back with more North American Contenders Trials in a few moments. Welcome back, folks. We have got an incredible matchup going on here in North American Contenders Trials. We've got the Maryville Saints versus Susanoo going on right now. Don't worry, we have permission for that. We're giving plenty of fodder, apparently, to their team to be able to utilize that. So can't wait to see the end cut of that one. But nevertheless, despite whatever the names end up being, both of these teams are tied right now because both of these teams are essentially hanging on by a thread. Right now, Susanoo is sitting at the top of that 4 stack in the middle, but it only will take this match to completely flip everything that is going on in the middle of all this. Beak, why don't you give us a quick recap of what we saw in that first day?
Yeah, I'm just laughing at the Susanoo. I mean, we're casters, but we're also content creators. You know,
exactly.
We're double duty here.
Anything we can do.
But I mean, I think today has been a big fact-finding mission as to how Susanoo and Saints kind of approach these last 2 pivotal games for Contenders Trials, because they are right in the thick of it, as you mentioned. And Susanoo came out swinging, much to the happiness of all their fans, obviously, after coming off that loss from Wisp last night, which was pretty disappointing for them because that was a 3-1 win for Wisp. And you would think that Susanoo, usually at the top of that leaderboard, would be a lot closer. And it was a close game, just Wisp found the upper advantages most of those maps. But the Saints came back roaring there on Blizzard World. That was their map pick. So you can tell that they are much more prepared on that map. And they I think, finished with a decent amount of time, too. They roared through their attack. So, I mean, it's anyone's game at this point right now between Susanoo and Maryville Saints.
Yeah, and I think that hopefully that's a continued theme that we see here. And I'm actually surprised. Well, I can't even say that I'm surprised by the Saints because we saw this in Open Division as well, that they ended up picking Blizzard World over typically what teams would pick, King's Row. Like, that's the typical hybrid map that we see. But now it's going to be Susanoo's turn to figure out what map is good, and it looks like we're heading to that good old 2CP. They're looking to try to create some space, maybe catch the Saints on their back foot as we head into Hanamura.
And Hanamura, everyone loves 2CP, as we are going to come here. And again, this is Susanoo's map pick, so they'll only be in trouble if they lose this map, right? Theoretically, if you're winning your maps that you pick, then you're always in a good spot. So this, again, now the pressure's all on Susanoo now that they've lost the map in Blizzard World to come back and pick and win their own choice, right? So as we'll see, no doubt, probably the same compositions that we've been seeing the entirety of this trial, as we've seen very hard meta with this May McCree brawl, and you can see how effective it is and how dangerous it can be. And it really allows, especially the main tanks, to be really, really aggressive, but also it shows off how amazing that the supports can really be. I mean, the peel that you see come out when you see a main tank that you think is for sure dead, but then you see the immortality field thrown like a frisbee from distance. You see the peel from the wall come out to protect them. Like, you think that these guys are dead, and they aren't. Just goes to show how highly skilled these people are and how much they play in this game. So I'm really interested to see what we hear as we see Infected on the side of Susanoo. Going to try and get some early ult charge here on the attacker spawn before charging back.
And I can't say that this is even a surprise, even in my plat console games that I like to enjoy. The May is super powerful on this for this exact reason. It usually cuts off the teleporter, but they're able to pull it off, and they're looking to grab first tick, even though Halo has fallen, and it will be successful. Looking to see if they can grab that second tick now, as we see Susanoo trying to make their way into this objective that's already been set up by the Saints, and now we see Infected kind of being caught a little bit out of position for Shadow, trying to find him in the backline, but Cameron ends up getting picked off there by Infected with the tackle, and it looks like maybe they might be able to get that second pick. Nah, it's not going to happen. So close. The first pick in the first 30 seconds. That's not a bad way to start.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, kudos to the Saints for trying something cheeky there with that sim strat, like you said. We see that all the time in comp. It doesn't always work there. I mean, they were ready to go there, at least the Susanoo was, to be able with that wall, and just cuts off half the team. But they still get almost 2 ticks worth, so that it was not, worthless, right? And Papai Pete already has 75% of that wall, which will be really important when they eventually get back to this point. But Infected has the Shatter ready to go, and both the support ultimates for Susanoo are going to be online very, very soon.
All right, Maywall separating out either side of the team, and right now Infected is by themselves, but they're able to get back to the team just in time to let the Shatter fall. It doesn't look like the cleanup is going to come in time, as we see the Maywall and the Amp Matrix invested just to push back the rest of the Saints to keep them away from their tank line. With 2 minutes remaining on the clock, it looks like they're getting ready to push. Oh, they Sip TP'd on the roof!
I like that rotation a lot. Just when you think they're going to right to point, no, go to the roof and then Maywall, and then wall in with the Sim and then just take space. But it doesn't seem to matter as Susanoo is finding picks of their own.
That is true. The trade comes in. Sai off that objective, though, means that the stagger is gone. They're not going to be able to hold on to the point as much as they like, and Light is indeed lighting up this kill feed right now. Everyone is frozen, and the only one that can even touch is Switch. With a minute 40 remaining on the clock, they're going to grab objective Alpha, add 3 minutes to the time bank, and see if they can take Bravo in a quick-like fashion.
I never get tired of your dadisms there, Captain Jack. Love it. But no, I mean, excellent creativity by the Saints there. As we see, Papaibi is actually swapped over to the Hanzo. This is interesting. Usually he's pretty strict, hard hit scan. But Hanzo can sometimes be hit scan enough, but they are going to try and use that for a little bit more pick potential as they try and take this kind of bridge over. But Susanoo wants to take this attack right here.
There we go. Susanoo setting it up as Papaya Pete looking to get that pick. The Storm Arrow doing a heck of a ton of damage, almost grabbing the Immortality Field, but it's not going to be enough for them to hold on and control right now. For the high ground coming in, Infected separated out from the rest of the team as Cameron comes in from the top ropes with the Shatter. 2 picks coming in, and now the Deadeye coming out from Foreshadow ends up getting nothing but rockets to the face from Kraken, and this is it. First tick. Second tick coming in, the Maywall separating out, Switch from the rest of the team, and that's it. 3 minutes, 36 seconds on the clock, and Maryville is not done yet.
Just a statement there by Maryville, the Maryville Saints, just saying, you know what, we don't really get that first attempt or second attempt on that original first point choke, but, you know, with the Sim wall, we're going to pretty simply snowball. And that is the advantage of playing Sim here. Even with the swap from Papaya Pete going over to the Hanzo, they just didn't let Susanoo have any room to breathe on that point B, right? Even with Susanoo being the one that takes the aggressiveness to them, the picks come in from Light, Papaya Pete. They invest ultimates to try and get the space onto the point, and by then it was too little too late for Susanoo to try and get any breath at all. So over 3.5 minutes on that attack, very impressive for the Saints.
And that's something that we are continuing to see in this May wall battle between Sai and Light. Sai is trying to be aggressive on Susanoo to be able to set up chokes that they can utilize, but then Light is like, okay, you want to choke us? Well, we'll just choke you right back and decrease rather the space that they have to work in. And obviously the Saints are incredibly comfortable with getting brawly in close spaces, and Susanoo just are like, nani? And just trying to figure out how the heck to get out of there once they're trapped.
And I really thought that once they swapped to McCree, that this was actually a go sign for Susanoo, right? Because as long as they play fast and play really close up, Hanzo's not going to do a whole lot of difference, especially with McCree having that stun and just so much damage you could do with the rollout here. But we see the Sim coming out for Susanoo in their own right. So let's see if they can do it just as well as the Saints did.
That's true. And we also have Papaya Pete on the Ash.
Yeah.
That is an interesting pick right there. But Gummy finding Halo wall riding on the outside, trying to get away due to the positioning of the teleporter. And it's already a 5v6 on the point. The Baywall going up from Light, looking to see if they can zone out Infected. But that Immortality Field is going to hold them up for now. Both demos down, and Susanoo are like, okay, you want a speed run? We can do it even better. And are looking to just clean up this objective. Infected with the double kill off point. As we see, the wall riding coming out from Halo gets sent back to spawn again. 3 minutes remain on the clock as objective Alpha is captured in almost 6 minutes for Susanoo to take Bravo.
Yeah, Susanoo is going to have a ton of time to do this, and they have a decent amount of ultimates to boot. I was curious about Papaya Pete's swap to Ashe there on the defense, but it really does favor a longer fight, especially you can get Ashe or get the Ashe ult and Bob, and they almost have it, even with getting taken down somewhat early in that fight. But let's see as they swap fully to a Doomfist and Ashe. Wow. So this is really interesting.
Oh, The Doomfist comes in, and it looks like that's exactly what they need as they uppercut Foreshadow right back to spawn. But the trades are coming in. The DPS aren't the only ones that can get picks on this objective, folks. And Switch and Angelic rather end up getting picks of their own. Halo, though, does get the follow-up there onto Sai as we see Foreshadow trying to move their way back in. Not a tick to be had from Susanoo.
Not entirely surprised to see some Doomfist come out. We've seen some teams run it both in NA and EU this past couple of weeks, and has given a lot of teams fits, right? Because you're usually playing that McCree or playing the Diva and the Rhine, so you don't have like a projected bubble from a Zarya to be able to protect the Rhine from getting bullied. And a Diva's not going to do much either. But Papaya Pete, with all these long sight lines, going to be able to free farm from damage, especially with that Bob.
That is a great way to start things off, taking down the teleporter, but the teleporter might have just been a decoy. There goes the Bob into the point. Papaya Pete getting run down by a Gummy, and Bob just going to be doling out that damage, but that wall from Foreshadow is keeping everyone protected for now until it goes down, and nobody is there to make sure that that Bob's damage is not coming out. Foreshadow trying to hold control of this objective up to that level 3 as the Maywall comes out, trying to create space, but Papaya Pete is done. Switching over to that McCree, and the double kill comes in a huge. Light has that Meteor Strike ready and raring to go as they're looking to remove Angelic from the fight, but it looks like now the team's just going to be looking to stagger Gummy for the moment.
And I really thought that the Saints had something there once they were able to kind of finally, the Susanoo had something there once they were able to finally get on point, especially with Foreshadow, with the sim and just be able to beam people down with that 3rd level sim. But the spawn advantage of defense is why we all love 2CP so much. It gives them enough time for Light to come back, get a couple frags. Cameron actually saves his Shatter so you can use this in the upcoming fight. And fortunately for them on the defensive side, they're going to have both of their support ultimates ready to go here in case things get wonky.
That is true, and here we go. The Maywall comes up, and the Shatter comes down from Cameron. Meteor Strike looking to see if it can find some value in the backline. Finds Angelic. There's the pick, and it is just decimation central on the high ground. Another team kill comes in for the Maryville Saints.
And it's just open season right now for Light. I mean, just absolutely bullying the rest of Susanoo when they're trying to go through those small chokes on the high ground. It's really the question of for Susanoo, what do they do now, right? They know that Light is going to be trying to come at them from every other angle, so scouting him out is important, but what can they really do about him? They don't have a McCree, or they do have a McCree, but he hasn't really been able to find much effectiveness against Light here. So there's going to be a lot of him, a lot of scouting out what they can do, but Sai does have those Blizzard ready to go.
All right, and it seems like it's just about the positioning and where that Light is going. The Ant Matrix gets invested on the high ground, sending Maryville back to the objective, and Papaya Pete back on the Ash again. I didn't even see that swap happen, and it looks like Susanoo looking to make their way in. The Blizzard comes down from Sai, looking to see if they can find that value, and Foreshadow is almost up to that Deadeye. They got to take him out, and they got to take him out quick as Light ends up falling. Papaya Pete with the trade on to Switch, as we see the Bob invested on the objective. Diva Bomb now coming out from Gummy, looking to see if they can keep that going. First tick right now with 2 minutes remaining on the clock. Foreshadow has that Deadeye ready to go. Second tick on the objective, and the Feed Fest has to be strong. Light coming in, ends up grabbing the pick onto Sai, and Foreshadow gets the follow-up onto Light. That Deadeye has to be there to zone out, but Papaya Pete takes Foreshadow down before they can even use it, and just shy of that B point captured, they get removed from the point again.
And as long as she's a brutal stagger here onto Gummy, but as long as Papaya Pete has some high ground or some distance, they can just dole out free damage. And you see Light just trying to get as many kills with the cycle of cooldowns. This is their point to lose, honestly. They're in a great position here as they are nearing the last minute and a half. I mean, the Susanoo is still in decent shape. They still have 15% left to go with a high noon coming in and a beat in case things get crazy. But Papaya Pete is taking this high ground and just doing so much damage when they come through this high ground.
Ooh, the Maywall tries to separate out Cameron from the rest of the team. They're unsuccessful in the rotation through spawn. They're trying to find it. Deadeye comes out as we see the Diva Bomb invested from Kraken, and Kraken finds Angelic in that backline. Wow! Foreshadow stunning out Light, and the click, click, boom comes out, and that third tick is looking to come in right now. The only one left on point is Kraken, and the Bob gets invested, but won't be staying up for long. A minute remaining on the clock as time is added to the bank of Maryville Saints, bringing them up to 3 minutes 44 seconds.
Yeah, foreshadow at the end saying, you know what, Light? Had enough of your crap on Doomfist. That incredible flashbang and dink in the head was enough to be able to get some more point presence for the rest of Susanoo, finally getting the cap before the end, before that overtime, to at least give them some time to work with to be able to attack again here. I mean, Light, you can't talk about it enough between the DPS switches that Maryville had. I mean, before the map, we were talking about how hard meta it is between May and McCree. Well, Maryville must have heard us and said, well, you know what, watch us go out and do something radically different. And because they are. I mean, this comp is totally taking Susanoo by surprise. And if it isn't taking them by surprise, then they just don't have any answers to what Maryville is running here. So really credit to them as just being, executing this composition well. And honestly, I think if they get an early stop here, then this is doom for Susanoo, because Papaya Pete's going to have some of that ultimate charge built up. They're going to be in a good position to be able to use some ultimates, especially with that bite in the mid fight. And again, they have to continue to scout out Light. But importantly, note the reason why Foreshadow had so much trouble with Light, especially being on that McCree, is because he would always go for him first, right? So he'd try to take out his immediate threats before anything else, and then end up taking out the supports after that, which is a total terror in their backline.
And that's exactly similar to what we've been seeing in the EU as well. Goku on that bar all the time, taking out the damage early, and Papaya Pete with that dynamite finds the Symmetra before they're even having a chance to set up on the objective. Kraken and Papaya Pete continue to clean up this choke, and they are not allowing Susanoo to get even close to this objective right now, as they've already shaved 30 seconds off.
Yeah, they didn't even touch the choke, honestly. I mean, before they took the advantage there, and that early kill from the burn and the burst factor from Papaya Pete was enough to be dangerous and devastating for them. This is going to be who's going to actually be able to touch? I assume Sai might be able to TP onto this. Maybe Angelic with the Lucio, but this is dangerous for them.
All right, we see Sai now on this Reaper. His Foreshadow already falling to panic, and now it's going to be up to Cameron to try to stay up, but Infected ends up finding him out. So it's a 1-for-1 trade right now. Panic does end up finding Switch, and there it comes, the Amp Matrix. They're going to be pumping damage through it like none other right now, and without the supports to keep them alive, it's going to be hard. The only one left on the objective right now is Halo and Light, trying to keep everything together as they try to hold on for the team to be able to get back in. Overtime now ticking away as they continue to feed in and out of the objective, just trying to keep Susanoo off of this objective as much as they possibly can, but without the tanks there. The tanks are back. Kraken able to get back into that mech and not taken out as the shatter comes in from Cameron, trying to see if they can clean that up. And now it's ball time. Infected coming out with the spin to win as Papaya Pete ends up getting the pick on Foreshadow, switching over to that Tracer. The beat ends up getting invested in the fight as overtime just ticking away. And Infected can't stay on the point long enough. Not a tick to be had by Susanoo.
All of that work for not even a drop of blood. Honestly, for Susanoo, that is hard.
There's a lot of blood. None of the things.
Always subjectivize, exactly. Angelic. I mean, Overwatch is sometimes just a game of seconds and stuff. And Angelic was so close to getting their own sound barrier to be able to turn the tide of that fight. I think almost 92 to 93% there towards the end. But the kills were already coming in for Maryville. And again, that composition with the Doomfist and the Ashe is doing work. But really, it was Halo making it work on the point, just stalling as much as possible and fragging out, not to say it as well. And that's why, folks, he was in Overwatch League, right? There's a reason why he's that cracked. And that is one of the big difference makers you saw there, and the reason why he is on the Saints here. So now the pressure is all on them to be able to just get one tick with 3 minutes and 44 seconds. So Susanoo has to be, kind of on their back foot, because this isn't exactly the best situation they could be in. And Jack, this is their map pick. This is, they wanted to come to Hanamura, and Maryville's like, sure, let's do it.
All right. We're ready. Let's go.
Light's like, I'll bust out the Doomfist. I'll do you some dirty.
All right. But this time around, Papaya Pete looking to throw some logs as they swap on over to the Hanzo. And that was very deadly the first time around. And even with 3 minutes 40, if it doesn't work out, they got plenty of time to turn this around too.
Again, this is all about for the Saints here. They can take the fight that they want, but Papaya Pete wants us to end this right now.
That is not a great way to start. Papaya Pete, Ore on that high ground, looking to find those heads, looking to see if they can get those dinks, and Foreshadow is out of position right now and getting chased down by the rest of the team. Kraken taking him out with the fist. That's 2. It's a 4v6 fight. 4v5 as Panic falls. Cry falling soon after. It's a 3v4 on the objective right now, and the cleanup coming in from Maryville. The only way they continue to hold on to this is if Angelic can indeed sprout wings and fly, but Light is going to send them to an early grave. The Maryville Saints take Hanamura, taking the lead 2-1 in our series tonight.
Very, very surprising so far based on what we've watched. And Papaya Pete also goes by iced, but there was nothing icy about him. He was on fire this entire map between him and Light. Like we said, Susanoo just had absolutely no answer to what they were throwing at them, and it just took so long for them to get that second point. And then that last brawl in their own attack with that 1 minute, and didn't get, again, one single tick at all. It's just doom for Susanoo as they're now down, by 1 here, and they're on match point against Saints, who they only have beaten Ardor, and Ardor hasn't won a map yet. So a lot of people are saying, all right, the Saints won against Ardor, but can they beat anyone else in this trials? And they have the talent to do it, obviously, and we're seeing that they're now 1 map away.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to know that Maryville also hasn't just been lying down either. Maryville might be 1-2 right now, but the matter of the fact is they have put up incredible fights against these top tier teams in the trials. And, right now it just might be a mental game at this point. Susanoo, after that defeat from Wisp last night, they might be kind of bummed. They may be kind of bothered, and now they are on the back foot again against the Maryville Saints. It's going to be up to the Saints to continue to provide that pressure, that force, and just keep it going until eventually Susanoo just pops and fizzles out.
Yeah, you have to wonder if Susanoo is letting that doubt creep in a bit. I wouldn't even say they're tilted yet. I don't think they are. I don't think they're playing tilted by any means. But you have to wonder, again, they were playing Wisp really close, and Wisp went up 2-1 after winning 2 unanswered maps, and then ended up being 3 unanswered maps. So, Susanoo has to break this, cycle of torture that they're making for themselves here, as we are eventually going to head into Havana. Is Susanoo's pick once more. And I talked again before that in terms of, once you lose your own map, that's when you're really in trouble. And what did Susanoo just do? They just lost their own map, right? So now they're going to come out here again, and now Saints are in a great position, being able to, they're pretty much playing with house money, because if they win this map, great, they win the match. But if they lose, then they go and get to have the game match deciding map be their own. So Saints must be happy with how this match has come out so far.
Yeah, they're really setting themselves up for success right now. And it is left up to Control for the final map. But I believe that Saints are probably going to want to just end it right where it is, because they did have some struggles on the first Control map, Nepal. So if Saints aren't as practiced on Nepal, it's time to end it right here, right now, as we get ready to head into Havana. So we are heading, great place. Widow's Bowling Alley, as we all know, is going to be great for those double sniper compositions, creating space, which is what the Saints were trying to do there on Havana. We saw Papaya Pete on the Hanzo, on the Ash. We might see some Widowmaker pop out right here, and if they can keep them locked in that long channel, even if it's not there, once we get to Objective Charlie, there's long sight lines there as well. They have plenty of opportunity to put a lot of space between the brawliness of Susanoo, and it's really going to come down to whether or not Susanoo can answer that with an effective composition.
And I think we're going to see, no doubt, some spawn holds here with the May McCree brawl comp, just to try and take as much time as possible. But I mean, to your point, I think there definitely might be a potential for, at least from the Saints' perspective, will we see some long range hit scan, because it was so effective in Hanamura? Will they bring that out again here on Havana is to be seen. As we see, they haven't even chose those DPS yet. Now they are in spawn, so because they are on the Saints are on attack here, so we don't know what they'll do just yet. But it seems like they are going to come out with some pretty generic meta compositions here, which is to be expected because they have to know that the Susanoo composition is going to be that May McCree brawl right hold at the door and see how long they can do that for. And I have to say, if you're Susanoo, I think getting at least a minute off the clock here in the beginning would be a victory for them.
Yeah, Susanoo are really looking to try to shave that bank off as much as possible. But you already see the rotation coming out. They know that they're right outside those doors. They got to be out quick, fast, and in a hurry. And the Maywell already coming up from light now is being traded by side. Doesn't really catch anyone out of position, just creating a lot of space for the Saints to be able to work as we see the damage coming in on either side right now. That cart still hasn't moved, not a single inch just yet as the tackles come in. We do end up seeing the picks on either side. Panic able to end up finding the pick on the switch early on, and without that heavy amount of heals, that is going to be exactly what the Saints need to get that car to move.
Not exactly the hold that Susanoo had in mind, and I actually think that the May from Susanoo died in between two Reinhardts charging.
Yeah, sandwich.
You hate to get caught in the Ryan v Ryan sandwich there because they're just trying to focus on killing each other and trying to pin each other. But I mean, this is a great example for the Saints of the kind of the risk and reward that you have because you are giving them a lot of ults as we see Cameron throw that shatter down now.
Whoa! At very least, they're just putting the fear of gods into Susanoo right now, but it looks like they are not scared. They are ready to take this objective right on back. Maryville being a little too aggressive as the staggers come out.
You saw Cameron try to catch them in their rotation because Susanoo was trying to get the high ground, in which they successfully did. That Reinhardt shatter didn't get much as they are able to stabilize a little bit. And look how many ultimates are on the board here for Susanoo. I mean, there are plenty for the Saints as well. So it's just a matter of, who's going to be able to, initiate here first. We're going to see 2 amplification matrices for sure. Just try and get those walls out.
Ooh, Deadeye's coming out from either side. Foreshadow looking to take down that shield, but going to be unsuccessful. Kraken able to absorb it. Papaya's still holding on to theirs, so they're looking to try to zone out as they get closer. The Maywell does zone out the Ant Matrix, and there comes the beat invested as well. Diva Bomb goes high as the Blizzard lands. And it looks like the fight continuing to go on. Panic being the first one to fall right now as Light and the rest of Saints trying to see if they can hold on, trying to see if they can get those picks. And there they come now, separating out Gummy from the rest of the team. The DMAC comes in, and that Ice Skull finds Gummy's between the eyes. Minute 30 remaining on the clock, and they've created some space.
This is not good for Susanoo as they had a very heavy investment into that fight and ultimately end up losing. And look at the advantage that now the Saints have ready to go into this upcoming fight. They have a beat that they can leverage, and because Sai has that Blizzard, which they're using now.
Blizzard gets invested, doesn't catch as many as we saw though from Light earlier on, and Papaya beats Deadeye, finds Sai, so not going to be the follow-up they were expecting as well. 60 seconds remaining on the clock as Susanoo trying to see if they can find those picks, and Cameron will fall to Infected against Light's wall. Now the spawn advantage goes to the side of Susanoo, trying to see if they can just keep this cart where it is. 40 seconds remaining on the clock, but it's not gonna be enough as the Maryville Saints take Objective Alpha and move their way into the brewery.
That was real dangerous for a second there for the Saints because Halo died mid-beat and no one was able to get it. So that was a real advantage for Susanoo there. But eventually they do find out that win, and Light has this Blizzard ready to go, and Angelic doesn't have that beat. So it's a matter of if the Saints can play this real fast, they have a clear win condition in this next fight.
All right, looking to try to separate them out. Could not find the separation on Infected, and Papaya Pete is ready and raring to go with that Deadeye. There it comes. Deadeye comes out, but Switch finds Papaya Pete again between the eyes, and now the Blizzard invested from Light. They're looking to clean it up quick, fast, and in a hurry because they want to make that clock spin right now as the payload keeps moving its way forward. Light able to zone out Gummy there on the objective, and the follow-up on Sai is not going to be far behind. 2 minutes on the clock as they make their way through.
It really doesn't seem like Susanoo has won any fight at all yet on Havana, but they just keep taking a long time to make the Saints win any of the fights that they do in fact get, right? So even if they are slowly but surely getting point progress, they still only have a minute and 50 left to go in this streets phase. And there's a lot of ultimates for the defense ready to go. Susanoo has that high noon they're going to use right here to try and take some space.
Yeah, and the first fight that they ended up having, it did not work out well for them. Here we go. The beat already invested from Angelic as Foreshadow tries to find their way to that high ground. They want to see if they can click heads from behind without a shield in their way, but Halo finds them and sends them back to the Cowboys' graveyard, and now it's going on the back foot for Susanoo as the picks just continue to come in. Cameron does end up falling in there, but Halo providing the barrier that they need, and the Blizzard comes in from light as well. Pick after pick after pick. Maryville isn't giving this up as Objective Bravo is captured, and they make their way to Charlie.
The Saints are just the definition of bend it but not breaking, right? I mean, every time you think that the Susanoo is playing really aggressive, using their ultimates, even have the ult economy advantage, somehow, some way, the Saints just continue to find victory and find pay dirt in these win-1 fights. There's another high noon to open up, already getting that wall out.
Ooh. Looking to use the Maywall to prop up their McCree right there. Unfortunately, Susanoo with the rotation, not able to find the value they're looking for, but they create some space. We see the charge coming in from Infected, though. Shatter coming in from Cameron as they go ahead and just clear up the objective. Infected not there to save their team from the deadliness of that Rhine hammer, and that payload's just going to keep on moving.
I don't know. I'm a bit worried about Susanoo right now. I think they're doing some uncharacteristic things. You saw Infected try and go for that 180 pin, almost going towards Coast, risking going off the edge.
Yeah.
Doesn't end up doing it, but he did open up the rest of his team for that big shatter and what gave the Saints another 1 fight. So even with Infected getting another shatter online here, what are they going to do with this? Because this is really important because they need to start holding here and holding here fast.
That's right. Cameron falling incredibly low as we see the bomb invested from Kraken. Doesn't find the value it's looking for as Gummy goes in the back line with the rockets, grabbing the double kill before the remake comes in for Kraken. Second fight victory there. Team kill ringing out for Susanoo as they take control.
Feels like they finally stopped looting there, but a really good combination with that shatter by Infected. You heard that voice line. You saw some people on the ground, which led to Gummy getting those final blows. And they do have the tools to be able to hold this for this last 40 seconds. They have both support ultimates, and they have this Blizzard ready to go. And Foreshadow can space people out with this high noon as well. But it matters in the execution is all where it lies.
It's going to be up to Kraken right now. I hope they're hungry because they got to find it. The Blizzard Light makes their way around the backside and ends up throwing the Blizzard behind them. They don't expect it, and the picks are coming in. Light ends up falling mid-fight as the Deadeye comes out, not able to find value due to the wall of Psy. And Psy in that icicle just trying to hold everything together. And now the Deadeye coming out from Foreshadow, but that shield is ready and raring to go. 5.9 seconds, so close to that nice old second number as we see the Saints take Objective Charlie and set themselves up for a really good defense.
You know, there's a lot of terrifying things that you can encounter when you play Overwatch. And I think one of the top ones, at least on my list as a main tank player, is a flanking Mei with Blizzard in your backline that no one scouted, right? You saw Light just coming in there last second and being able to get a lot of effectiveness and a lot of utility out with that Blizzard, even if it didn't net a ton of kills from itself. But regardless, they were able to finish. And we talked a lot about throughout that push. Susanoo didn't feel like they won many fights, but if you look at the result, it wasn't that bad. I mean, you know, they still only held them to 5.9 seconds left to go. So it's a matter of Susanoo, if they have a blazing fast time, then all of this was, you know, a successful plan. But we just have to see, you know, it seems like this has been really the Saints dictating the pace here, even in any situation, right? Regardless of the ult economy of these two teams, and even in the mid fights, we've seen the Saints have been really the aggressor and more the result-oriented team here. As we see the Cameron and the rest of these Saints are definitely going to hold here, and let's see how much longer their spawn hold can be, because Susanoo's wasn't that long.
Yeah, and right now the idea that I have in my head is just seeing an Orisa Fortify from Maryville right now. They have literally just every time we see Susanoo coming in with ultimate economy out the yin yang, they just fortify, they lock it down, and then they wait until they see the weakness in their strategy to be able to bring it on back. And here it goes, looking to see if they can hold the spawn hold just a little bit better. Remember, every second matters at this level, and Kraken already demeched is not a great way to start things off before Shadow already down. It's going to be up to Papaya Pete to see if they can get that pick, and Cameron able to get that follow-up and take Infected out of the fight with the 4v6 now on the objective. It's going to be just enough for them to continue to hold for another stall.
I mean, just when we swap back to the perspective of Cameron there early in that fight, you already saw Susanoo backing up, right? So again, just the advantage for the Saints is so palpable right now, just being able to push everyone off the payload in which they're trying to attack.
All right, back at it again as we see the Amp Matrix invested from Switch, and now the return coming in as Papaya Pete just clicks heads. I don't know what else to say because Papaya Pete just lines them up, and then suddenly everybody's dead. It's so weird. And they just push right back into spawn, already a minute and a half off the clock.
I mean, yeah, the Saints have to be happy with this so far, as Cameron has another Shatter ready to go online as both walls are already coming out, and Kraken finds a kill and Angelic. This is disaster for them.
Yeah, this is not going to be good for Susanoo. They do not want to be held right here. The Deadeye now coming out for 4 Shadow from the spawn, looking to see if they can find a single head to be able to click to create a dent in the armor of Maryville right now. But Susanoo just, I don't know, they're just having such a hard time figuring this out.
Half of their attack is already gone, and the cart has literally not moved. Now, Susanoo does have a lot of bold ones to play around with, but this is already a win in their book. Oh, Shatters!
The Shatter is fat from Cameron, and Infected falls early in the fight. The Blizzard, though, does get invested from Sai. The Diva Bomb tries to counter, but Kraken is found by Sai in the midst of it. They're going to continue to hold, but now they have a wrinkle in that armor.
And the worst thing is Infected uses his Shatter there as he was dying and doesn't get anything with it. So just another kind of desperation move by Susanoo. You can feel it's in the air that they're a little bit of a desperation here because they know that all this time is being taken out from them.
Yeah, and it looks like regardless of that, the time is going to continue to tick away, but this is a one fight for Susanoo. They're able to finally unlock this objective, Halo being the last one to get their wings back in spawn, but they only have a minute 15 on the clock.
And honestly, the Saints are thinking, all right, they might have won that battle, but they're going to win the war here because there's only a minute left to go. And look where the card is. It's not even at that traditional main couple corners of this point A. And all it takes is for the Saints to be able to win a fight or two here and by the end of this point. And this is golden for them as they take this high ground with Papaya Pete. Already have the High Noon trying to get some of this utility out early.
All right, High Noon coming out as the rotation goes on to cart. Susanoo isn't anywhere near it right now. The Deadeye now coming out from Foreshadow as they try to rotate the Deadeye around the Maywall, but the cart is in between. The Shatter ends up coming out from Infected, trying to find the cleanup, and it looks like they will be successful. Click and click and click for Shadow, taking some notes from Papaya Pete as they clear the objective again, but with 30 seconds remaining, they got to get there, and they got to get there quick.
That was a really good Shatter by Infected, getting back on the horse there, getting, I think, 2 or 3, and just finding the killing blows was Foreshadow, but someone's going to have to touch here, and both support ultimates are going to be online for the Saints, so this is very winnable for them to hold.
Ooh, the Venn diagram of Blizzards, you know you love to see it as the Maze just literally looking at each other in their cryos. The Diva Bomb now invested from Gummy, looking to find someone, anyone but Papaya Pete and Cameron able to get those first picks, and before Gummy is able to get back in that mech, they are frozen out of it once again. Cameron finds him, and a Shatter comes up huge. Maryville are looking to lock this down, keep their fight going here in Contenders Trials, and they will take away the victory 3-1 here on Havana.
Well, I think, Jack, this Trials has just gotten a whole lot more interesting with just a couple more games left to play today and tomorrow in North America. Because now we have a lot of teams that are going to be 2-1, 2-2. Both of these teams are now 2-2. But just incredible job by the Saints to be able to pull it back after only getting one match win so far against Ardor, and just taking it to Susanoo in a pretty dominant fashion after losing that first map on control.
And that's all we got to be looking out for there, folks. Just the chips. It just seemed to be that the Saints were able to find those chips in Susanoo's armor over and over and over again. Just that little bit out of position, the change in their composition that throws them on the back foot. Whatever it was, it just seemed like Maryville over and over and over again was just matching it point for point for point. Susanoo let down their armor a little bit after their victory on Nepal, but I don't think they had any clue what they were walking into coming up through those next 3 maps. We're going to go ahead and get set up for our interview real quick from a member of the Maryville Saints. We'll be back with more Contenders Trials action in a few moments. Welcome back, folks, to North American Contenders Trials, where we have a main tank of Maryville Saints, Cameron, joining us for our after-match interview. Cameron, your team has to be absolutely stoked after that victory. What kind of preparation, knowing that Susanoo in that second place spot was going to be a huge team to take advantage of tonight, did your team do?
We did a lot of preparation because we saw Susanoo's matches yesterday and last week, and we knew how they played. They're kind of a team that just play is-6 and just run in like idiots, so we knew how to counter it. I think that came across pretty well.
All right.
Sounds like my team's in comp. So the one thing I really want to talk about is on Hanamura. You guys ran something that is not traditional towards what we've seen a lot in trials so far from the May McCree, a little bit of a variation of the Doomfist and the Ash, and that seemed to give Susanoo a lot of problems. You want to talk through why you guys decided that, or who was that a set game plan on Hanamura, or was that kind of a spur of the moment thing?
I don't want to give too many strats away.
Right.
Basically, our Doom player, Light, he's just a really good Doom.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best Dooms, so he can utilize that hero in pretty much any situation. And usually the kind of cheese stuff like Ash Doom, especially on the second point tempo Doomist, can be really hard to like get into because there's just so much spam and damage from so many enemies.
Oh yeah, those control points literally are damaging if you cannot lock it down. Now you have one remaining match coming up this week. You'll be facing against Obey Alliance later on this week. Tell me, are you worried? Do you think that you've locked down your place to make your way into NA Contenders?
Well, every time I trash talk, it always baits me, so I'm gonna do it anyway. It's gonna be a 3-0 tomorrow. Honestly, that's
whoa!
They run
That's a man
Korean,
that learns from his lessons. That's what I say.
they try to run a Korean comp and they're just not good at it. So I think we'll be done.
Oh, yeah. It's so interesting, especially at this level, to be seeing the difference between the different variations of contenders and seeing what is run over and over again. You try to surprise them if you can run another variation, but it doesn't always work out. So thank you so much for spending your time with us. Is there anyone you would like to shout out for your well-fought victory today?
I'd like to shout out Catgod and Benny. Catgod gave me a really inspirational quote before the match. He said, "Reality is what you make of it," and honestly, that's the only reason we won. So, thanks, Catgod.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, folks at home, for joining us as well. We will be back with more amazing Contenders action in a few moments as we get ready for the Wisp versus Revival matchup. Welcome back, Overwatch fans, to the North American Contenders Trials, where we just saw an amazing match between the Maryville Saints and Susanoo. It was incredible. David defeated Goliath in a 3-1 matchup. It was a complete barn burner, and if you missed it, I hope you go back and watch it because it was absolutely amazing. But now we got to start moving our way forward because this next match is going to be a hot one as well. We've got Wisp versus Vite Ramen Revival, and Revival is sitting at the top. They have locked in their spot. No matter what happens after this point, they are ready and raring to go into Contenders. Now, the question is, how deadly will Revival continue to be?
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the roster up and down, and there's not a lot of weaknesses there, and even some big names. You see, LH Cloudy is the biggest one that always stands out. The Reddit, poster child for Reinhardt, inspiring all of us main tanks that Reinhardt was viable even when it was a hard ball meta. But I mean, they've been playing out lights out, obviously, throughout this entire trials, and their record reflects that. So really, what I'm more focused about in this matchup is this is truly another measuring stick game for Wisp. Yeah. They were kind of in the middle of the pack in the first couple of games, and then they came out and they beat Susanoo last night. Now we are seemingly seeing that Susanoo is a little bit struggling right now because they just lost to the Saints just a moment before. Mm-hmm. But now Wisp is facing against Revival, which has been pretty dominant so far. It seems like they've only lost, I think, one map, and that was to Obey Alliance yesterday. Mm-hmm. So, Revival has been straight up just better than everyone else, and Wisp is finding their stride right now. So that's where I'm really curious to see how does Wisp come up against Revival, and if it's going to be, more just Revival dominating, or will we see Wisp continuing to even find more of that groove that they, being more streaky from last night as well.
Yeah, and you and I, we know some incredible names on Wisp as well. Third place in OD from attack mode. We've got Chime coming in on the flex. DPS was picked up by Wisp before Contenders Trials started, and Sluggo from Hour Zero also joining the team right before they made their way in here. Both of these folks are coming from essentially opposing forces that we have seen in tournaments all across North America so far, and now seeing them work together. Chime is just an absolute menace when it comes to the May. I cannot tell you how many icicles that they have put into heads over and over again, but as you said, Revival has that history. They have that absolute stack right now. So Wisp, they gotta sit down. They gotta be ready and raring to go. They know the climb uphill is high right now, but after taking down Susanoo, they might be ready. And
I think one thing to note about Wisp is that they're very strong mentally, I think. And I think their core of, Joshua, Dusk, Vega, have been playing for a decent bit, and they know a lot of these players, some in Revival. I mean, Pascal is a close friend of some of these players on Wisp. Formerly of Anteku. So, there's a lot of, personal rivalries going on within this game as well. So we might see that play out in real time in this official match. But, I have to give credit to Joshua, has been playing out of his mind so far, and especially last night against Susanoo, and just is one of the, I've had the pleasure of being able to watch him in scrims and hear his IGL and being able to call different things and shot calling abilities. And he's one of the most natural, calm, collected shot callers I've ever heard. Always knows exactly what the plan should be, never gets tilted, never gets flustered by the situation that he's in. And you see that and you're like, man, that kid's going to go far. And we're seeing him, get to this point where they're already on the brink of Contenders as we head over to Nepal being our first map, and we're about to jump into the game. So we're going to put the money where the mouth is, right? So we're going to see a lot of the different players of Wisp and all these different narratives that we've stroked up here so far, going to come to fruition here in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, this time around, we're going to be starting on the village. Now, as we saw during the match between Susanoo and the Saints, it really comes down to control of that objective, quick and to the point. And it looks like Revival already getting to set up with that very quickly. We see Seeker on that Symmetra, and it looks like we have a pause on the field. SpaghettiOs. I hope that we're not going to lose someone early, but if we do lose them, this is the better time to be losing someone. You don't want to be losing a player in the middle of a fight, because not only do you lose that ultimate percentage, you lose their presence in the middle of an important team fight. So, unfortunately, we all deal with the evils of internet connections. That's just how it is. We even deal with it here in the production booth. And so it's going to be interesting to see if this continues to be an issue, if it sways into one team's favor or not.
Yeah, and we have to, at least it's giving both of these teams a little bit more time to collect themselves before their penultimate match in Contenders Trials. And we see Cloudy hovering over the Winston while Icy's on the Rhine, and I have a feeling that that's not exactly going to go out. But we have seen a Winston Rhine composition on control in Lijiang Tower. So it's not like the wildest thing we've ever seen in the world, but I have a very high doubt that this is actually going to be what Revival is running. But they're playing with house money, honestly, being at the top of this leaderboard. But Wisp is no joke, as we've seen in the last couple of matches, especially against this last match against Susanoo. So, definitely don't take them for granted, and they might be able to eke out some wins here against Revival in this early going, because it's Control. Anything can happen on Control.
Absolutely. And maybe the goal is that they're looking to use Cloudy on that high ground as the Winston. And it looks like they're going to stick with it. They're going to look to use Cloudy on that high ground and just try to take up as much space as possible. They know they have to have the presence on point, and a majority of them will be, but Cloudy going to be able to jump in and out and just be an absolute nuisance right now, as we already see Revival taking control of the objective. Icy falling a little bit low, but going to get it healed back up because those turrets are in position and ready and raring to go. We see that Symmetra teleporter trying to hold everything together, but the turrets just keep falling. Revival are going to go ahead and grab control of the point, and Pascal going to be able to get that initial pick onto a Vega, and it looks like that is going to be all she wrote right now, as we see Wisp go ahead and pull back for another fight.
And this is really smart, and of course, the good thing I didn't bet any money on the fact that they wouldn't run this composition, because Revival just did. But this makes Dust's job all the harder, because there's really nothing to DM from either of these tanks or Seeker once they get their beam going. So Dust has to play this on a razor's edge here to be really perfect and not get DMAC'd really quickly.
That is true, and already we see the Maywall coming out from Chime, or from Nos rather, separating out Joshua from the rest of the team. And wow, that is just an absolutely massive pick right there with the shield down. They've got nothing to block those beams, those Tesla cannons, that hammer. They're just wild in, swinging, and already up to the 50% mark.
Just an absolute guillotine on the Joshua there. The moment they try and step through that choke, the wall comes up and Joshua goes back to spawn. Cloudy gets a good kill, stagger kill on the Dusk in DMAC'd form, so it's going to be another 10% here. Already a hot start for Revival. Look at the ultimates they have ready to go. They have beat and 40% advantage over Vega, just because these fights have been so dominant for Revival in their own right, and Icy has that shatter ready to go. Such an interesting composition that Revival's taking full advantage of.
Rotation going around the outside, and once again, Joshua getting caught out. They're trying to break through as the Immortality Field goes down. Seeker sending out the barrier, but the Blizzard's out from Chime. Joshua also sending out the Shatter, but Icy returns the Shatter as well. Joshua does end up finding Cloudy in the middle of that fight, but it's too little too late as they get pushed off and head into final fight territory for Wisp.
And you have to wonder, they're obviously going to be able to touch, and Vega has the beat to be able to sustain them. But this is just desperation left here for Wisp, and they don't even get the touch.
No.
Wow. Just all Revival.
Yeah, Revival holding the 100-0 right here, and this is where Wisp needs to be worried right now, because this is a pattern that we have seen over and over and over again from Revival. They have only lost one map in this series.
You can really see why.
Yes. And Wisp have to be on their guard because as we were talking about in between games, Wisp is teetering just like Susanoo and Maryville were. Maryville was able to flip the entire script on its head during their match. And Wisp is just sitting in the middle of that chaos. If they end up losing this match, they're not going to be sitting very well.
Yeah, and as you see, we go back to the same compositions with that May McCree. So both standard on both sides, but again, this is really on Revival, just taking it to them already, and Cloudy on his signature hero, but takes out early.
Whoa! Joshua able to find Cloudy in the midst of the fight, and now we see Andare trying to see if they can click those heads, but Joshua's hammer just gets there too quickly. Chime able to get the follow-up on DeAndre, and control goes to Wisp.
Finds the angle perfectly there. Is Joshua getting the early pick percentage here for Wisp? And again, I've talked about this before before this game, is that you can't say enough about the mental stability of Wisp. And just when you think they're out, they keep coming back. And just being able to be in these fights has been a big advantage of them as we see the rest of Revival push in here already.
It's going to be a battle of the amp matrices right here if they're not careful. And the immortality field already invested. There come the amps coming out from both Sluggo and Pascal. But the shatter coming up huge for Joshua as they go ahead and try to clean this up right now. Or I lied. No shatter right there. Got a little discord here on my side of the fight, but they clean it up nonetheless, holding on to all of those ultimates. The shatter does come out now, doesn't find the value it's looking for, but still control keeps on for Wisp.
Even so, back and forth here, Wisp still has full control at this point, and they have the beat advantage to boot here, and the really only thing that they're working with for the side of Revival is Nos is going to have that Blizzard ready to go. But you know Dusk is ready for it, and Vega has him prep, and Seeker just throws immediately toward Icicle.
Chime, they have families, fam. Goodness gracious, the Deadeye gets 0 value. As we see Revival trying to push in, and another Am Matrix is invested, and Chime is just unhinged right now. Icicle after Icicle finding their target, and they're letting the line be known that Revival is not going to take this so easy.
Man, it must be like some sort of like 1 point hangover that all these teams must go through on these control points before they finally realize and come online, as the Wisp looks totally different in this fight versus this last one, as this is going to be last fight, and they have a lot of ultimates to play around with.
Oh, they do have the advantage in the mirror match game right now as the Blizzard comes out. Icy gets the eat. The Deadeye takes down the shield as Joshua finds Seeker with the Fire Strike. And now the Blizzard is out from Nos, trying to clear the objective as overtime now ticks away. The beat invested from either side, but DeAndre able to get the beat in last. But nevertheless, despite the beat being dropped last, the picks are coming in for Wisp. They are not ready to give this up yet. And no one from Revival is able to get back to the point in time. They are just aggressed off by the sheer force of will from Wisp, tying it up 1-1 as we head to the Sanctum.
Truly a tale of 2 points here on the Paul so far. Just an absolute dominant force coming out from Wisp there on Shrine, so really good credit for them. And Joshua just taking it to Cloudy in the Rhine mirror. I dare say a main tank difference, but was still a little bit too early on to be able to judge that. As we see Revival flirting around again with that double main tank composition where you can't really DM anything, that worked so well for them on Village, and they do seem to come and go back to that. Nos is going to stay on that May, and let's see if Seeker does seem to be staying on the Symmetra, which is actually pretty curious. Don't see too much Symmetra on Sanctum, but you know, this is Revival, and they do things that have worked before.
That is true. The immortality field keeps Joshua up, despite the Maywall separating them out from the rest of the team, and Seeker already up to that level 3 beam. Oh man, what? So close to be falling off of that map, and just has the connections that they need. Joshua going for the counter tackle as Chime takes Icy out of the fight, and Cloudy next up. Oh, Shatter coming in, looking to clean up the rest as no bubble, no shield in their way, and Wisp are just going to go ahead and lock down the Sanctum.
It's so tough, right? And you think the advantage of Revival when you have all these different beams in the face of Dusk and the rest of the team getting pushed back all the way to their own kind of mega choke there. But again, bending but not breaking is the theme of Wisp. as they're able to come back. Joshua has a good counter pin, be able to take out Icy and just be able to slowly but surely get back as they are, you see here, swap over to that conventional and Rhine Diva composition as those window come out and as the wall come out from May. As a quick touch here.
All right, the Amp Matrix still up for just a moment more after the May wall goes down. And Chime looking to get those cheeky picks does end up finding Nos on the outside and are going to be able to keep things going for now as Revival backs up for another fight.
Yeah, quick early pick onto Nos just makes them have to back up here. Really good play by proactiveness with that window. And they have to come back to the drawing board again. And Pascal has their own window ready to go here.
Ooh, the window coming out, but Andari does have that Deadeye, and there it goes. The Maywall comes up, and unfortunately, they don't have the speed to get around the side of the wall, and unfortunate. Dusk does descend out the Diva Bomb as they try to hold control. The longer they hold it, the more percentage they gain. The Blizzard now coming out from Chime as they try to clean it up, but it gets traded with Nos, and everyone is frozen in time. Now the Beats being invested by DeAndre and Vega, trying to keep their teams up after they have unfrozen and are able to attack once again, and control continues to be held 80% and climbing right now for Wisp as Icy finally able to find Dusk, and Vega falls to Seeker. The Deadeye ends up finding Chime as well, but the feed has to continue to be strong right here at the 90% mark. Control goes over to Revival.
Yeah, even so, to your point, Jack, the fact that Revival finally gets the point, but 90% capture for Wisp isn't perfect. It's exactly what they want because they only have to win one more fight here to get the result of this first map that they need and be able to give Revival their second map loss. But Revival has a lot of tools here. They have that window and they already have a pick.
Ooh, the pick coming in onto Andari is huge right there. A lot of damage taken out of that fight, but you know what? Wisp has plenty of time. They're just going to wait for the regroup.
Exactly, and this is the luxury that you are giving yourself when you have such a good strong outing to become, come out here with that 90% capture. But both tank ultimates online for Revival here, so they can be as slow and steady as they want, and again take the fight that they want to. But Wisp already taking this point presence.
Yeah, interesting rotation there from a Wisp as we see the Amp Matrix come out. Pascal trying to send it in return as the High Noon comes up from Andari, trying to see if they can take control, but Nos does end up finding Dusk as they try to take control of that side room. Icy with the follow-up right there, and that is all they wrote. Or is it? Yeah, that's it. And Vega trying to turn it around, but it's not enough as we see Revival continue to hold.
This is where the danger of getting 0 to 100 comes from, is because you have all these ultimates that you're working with, or you're waiting for the perfect fight to be taken. But when you end up using some of those ultimates and what you think might be a turnable fight, as you see Joshua using that shadow there in a losing effort, this is where it gets dangerous to them, as this is almost last fight territory for Revival.
Ooh, Maywall comes up from Chime, and the boop comes in from Vega, sending Seeker right on over the side, and that Deadeye could have been huge. Cloudy coming out with the shatter, but the beat gets invested from Vega. They're trying to keep anyone and everyone alive, and DeAndre trades with Chime, so it's a 5v5 fight right now as Sluggo and Nos trade their picks as well. Control going back over in overtime to Wisp as the Blizzard gets invested from Nos. Barely able to get into that side room as Dusk, but the boom comes in. Vega with the double coming in there, but it's not going to be enough. 99-99 is overtime ticking away right now. The Amp Matrix gets invested, and they got to get in. They got to get in quick.
And Joshua swaps over to that ball just to be able to contest, as does Chime on the Tracer, but quickly gets deleted by Seeker. This is dangerous for Revival, for Wisp, and Revival taking already that first map.
Yeah, they take the first map, but it was not close, folks. That was a deadly matchup between those two teams. Revival, although holding strong there at the end, really need to be watching their backs moving forward. Wisp is not ready to just lay down and take it.
Yeah, I think we're learning a lot. I mean, we talked at the top of the broadcast, where does Wisp stand against Revival after meeting Susanoo and beating them 3-1, and already taking 3-1 to the Saints, who then just beats Susanoo, right? So I think we're getting our answer, is that Wisp is pretty close to Revival. I think they were able to adapt fairly quickly to that Winston and Ryan composition, actually winning that fight, forcing Revival off of that composition, which was pretty dominant in that village map that they had. So, but at the end, Revival just clutched out where they were able to take that high ground with the Mega on the end. Joshua falling too low, trying to pin out and doesn't get the kill. And what we're going to actually go to next is Wisp pick, and that is King's Row, everyone's favorite map in Overwatch.
A favorite map, but you see a heck of a ton of it. But honestly, I wonder, are Wisp playing into Revival's hands right now? Revival has obviously shown that they are just as strong on the brawl as Wisp is. Now, the question's gotta be, does Wisp have some other plan in mind? Are they looking to try to turn this on its head? Because right now, they're also swapping sides. We're going to be seeing Wisp go on the defense to start. So Revival is going to set the pace for this match. It's going to be up to Revival to just zoom through all 3 points and show their dominance if they want to keep Wisp on that back foot. But if Wisp hold up a very strong defense, honestly, it could be anyone's game.
It really could. I mean, and first point of King's Row is holdable, right? I mean, but you have the main choke there on that first point. You can play around the statue, which you see a lot of these teams do, especially in this main McCree mirror, is always trying to rotate around that statue, get that presence for your own team before trying to push in, clearing out Hotel as well. But then some teams might opt to play some of that long reach hit scan on the high ground, and that's a risky bet. I doubt either of these two teams might do that. But I've been burned before, even today. So I don't want to give any type of predictions on what these two teams might run. But I'm fairly confident they will go with those May McCree brawl mirrors. But I mean, these two teams, it could be anyone's game. Like you said, they are very equal with this meta and this composition. Joshua versus Cloudy has been a marquee matchup so far that has been very entertaining to watch. Yeah,
nevertheless, this matchup has been huge, but I feel like Wisp is gonna be looking to adapt, and you know what? I'd just be a liar. They're just gonna stick on the same composition, and it's not that it hasn't been working. We saw it on Shrine. It was incredibly effective that they were able to take over the mirror match, and you know what? It just might have been slight rotations there on the Sanctum that really ended up throwing Wisp off their mettle. But as we know, everyone practices scrims row, so to speak. You know, everyone is so just absolutely ready to take it on this map. It is huge. The question is, are we going to see the same thing from Revival?
Yeah, we see Seeker trying to get that early pick with the Widowmaker. Doubt that no one's ever going to give him the satisfaction of peeking, as he will then swap back to the McCree. Oh yeah, like you said, bold move to try and face Revival, which is, you know, with Cloudy, very strong Reinhardt composition on a very Reinhardt-centric map.
Yep. That's probably not a good position they want to be in, but you know what? Maybe they think that they can hold it together, and Joshua shows Cloudy, nope, not coming in here, not gonna happen. DeAndre does get the trade on Onudari, and the picks continue to trade right here across the Alderworth Hotel. Has so much health, falling incredibly low right now. Seeker trying to get him in the mid as we see the rotation coming in from the side of Wisp, and the Amp Matrix is invested, melting down the Maywall that was trying to keep Joshua out of position. Onudari holding strong right there in that backline, but the Deadeye is up. High Noon coming out as the point is being taken by Revival. First tick coming out. The High Noon is gone, and they're ready and rearing to go. They got to rotate. They got to rotate quick as they make their way into the objective. The stun comes in to Cloudy, but they're holding strong for now. Seeker finds Onudari, and it might be enough for them to continue to hold. Second tick coming in as Nuff finds it for the shatter. Coming in for Joshua, and the picks are huge. Double kill coming in from Joshua, and Chime answering with a double kill of their own. They were able to get 2 ticks, but 2 ticks is not a capture.
Just so impressed with how Wisp played that entire exchange. I mean, just the discipline to be able to go into Hotel when the advantage was all Revival with that High Noon and with the amplification matrix. And Vega had a 30 to 40% ult charge advantage over them, which gave him that beat.
All right, back into the fight as the Blizzard gets invested from Nos, canceling out the damage that we see through the Am Matrix, but nevertheless, Dusk sends in the bomb and still ends up getting Cloudy, getting into mech just barely before getting taken out by the rest of Revival, and now the High Noon comes out from Anudari, looking for a shot, looking to see if it'll be enough, but we see the Amp Fire Strike take down a Sluggo, and without that healing on the objective, it's going to be really hard for them to continue to hold strong here, but that bank is continuing to fall. Seeker finds the double kill, and Chime is just going to try to run out the clock as much as they possibly can. 3 minutes, 55 seconds remain as the payload unlocks and they take to the street.
Excellent defense by Wisp there on point A. I mean, we talked about how it is holdable, and you saw just a small example of Wisp almost being able to do that, but eventually Revival was able to break through. It almost seemed like there was two different fights happening there. You had one around the statue, then you had one around the hotel there. So you really had to see Wisp try and expend their resources and spread them out, which really gave Revival that advantage as they were going to this streets phase. And both these Reinhardts have Shatter. Let's see what they can do with it.
All right, High Noon, Ore coming out from Seeker as they try to speed their way around the wall, but Wisp is just nowhere to be found. They have no idea where Wisp is rotated to, thinking they just pulled back, but I'm nervous. I think they might be looking to go behind. Maybe not. Looks like they're just going to hold the next corner in line, and Nas swapping on over to the Doomfist now, looking to see if they can get in that back line and catch Anudari uncontested right there. Maybe get the pick onto Chime early on. Those Shatters are still in the pocket. They're looking to lay him down, and the Maywall separating out from the rest of the team. Nos, it does get found there, and the Shatter comes in a huge from Jishua, but they can't find the follow-up that they're looking for. Shatter is returned by Cloudy, but it's not going to be enough for them to be able to push in on as it gets nothing but shield. 2.5 minutes remain on the clock.
And things are looking really good for Wisp right now because Chime has this Blizzard. And look at DeAndre's ult charge. If they can play this really, really fast, DeAndre won't have a beat to be able to counteract this. And the only thing they might have hope for is Icy.
Oh, the Maywall ends up catching out Cloudy, and Jishua finishes it off. Chime able to grab Nos in the Blizzard, but Seeker with that High Noon able to grab a couple of picks of their own. It's tied up 4-4 on the objective right now as they continue to try to hold strong, and Pascal and Icy are able to clean up the remains. Under 2 minutes as they push into Objective Bravo.
And Wisp played that, honestly, really perfectly, but Seeker just getting that early kill gave Revival that advantage to be able to cap with now over 3 minutes to go in point C of King's Row. And I mean, it was a fairly expensive fight, and this Doomfist, again, showing up in our kill feeds time and time again. I think Nas switched to him just to be able to contest that last fight to try and get them over the edge, but he said, hey, I'm going to stay with it, and it's been fairly effective so far.
That is true. It's definitely been taking attention off of that main line. The Diva Bomb goes high. Ends up finding Sluggo in that back line, but the Immortality Field keeps everybody up for now. And Nos is just unhinged right now. We are in the boxing ring, and Nos is the world champion as they get that triple kill in and start moving their way to Charlie.
It's been so impressive to see the kind of dangerous combination that any type of Doomfist comes as we are nearing this last fight. He has his ultimate ready to go in case he needs to get out of dodge.
Ooh, and indeed, he will be getting out of dodge, looking to bring it down. Seeker does find Sluggo, but the trade comes in as Dusk able to take Nos out of that fight. Without those boops, they might be successful, and Anudari, no! Seeker finding them out with the stun, takes them out of Deadeye and nobody to touch. 2 minutes, 2 seconds remain.
Seeker staying true to his name there by finding out the High Nooner in the back and corner. Pretty good time by Revival, all things considered, getting kind of stuck on that first point. But after they grabbed that first point, it was pretty much all Revival towards the end. So Wisp put out a good defense there. But again, Nos pulling out that Doomfist was just left Wisp without any questions that they couldn't answer on that defense. So now it's their turn to be able to come back and try and beat that time of 2 minutes. And I really have to respect how Wisp is playing this, even if they did let the 3 points cap. I love the way that they can disengage at a moment's notice. That is just pure discipline. And you see that, and saw that in a couple examples. Every time a High Noon came out, every time you saw one of those ultimates getting ready to go, or the Revival trying to push in with a beat of some kind, just the ebb and flow. Both of these teams have such a good understanding of that, and that's why they're at the top of this leaderboard.
Absolutely. And I feel like right now, Cloudy, we've seen them getting a little bit more aggressive than we've seen them in the past. And I think Joshua is just really showing up right here, looking to say, okay, you've drawn your line in the sand, but I'm willing to walk over it. And my team is right behind me. And unfortunately, Cloudy is just getting caught out a lot. So let's hope that aggression doesn't get punished on their defense.
Yeah, you put some respect on Joshua's name. This is a good main tag matchup that I'm excited to watch even more of here.
All right, now the fight is coming in as we go ahead and see the rotation around the Alderworth and the statue. Chime looking to see if they can find those heads around the Suburban as they are just trying to see if they can get that initial pick. Onudari looking for that pick as well. The Maywall separating out either team, but either team are able to rotate as Pascal's immortality gets taken down. Sluggo soon to follow, so not going to be able to keep themselves up as much as they had hoped, and Cloudy needing to get healed back up before they get back into the fight. It is literally a boxing ring on point between these Reinhardts, and there it comes. The Ant Matrices coming out from either team as they go ahead and try to invest on either side, just kind of poke, but Cloudy able to catch out Sluggo, and that's what they need to be able to descend. Nos DeAndre, the follow-up comes in, and a minute's off the clock for Wisp.
The fire strike through the window is just one of the most devastating ult combos when pulled off correctly these days. And Cloudy executes it perfectly. Right when you thought that the window was ending, just gets it right at the tail end. As both of these DPS on both teams are getting their ultimates online. That was an interesting fight because you saw the Revival didn't really want to take any fight near the statue. They actually tried to play in and around that hotel and on point most of that fight, but it worked out for them in the end.
All right, well, nevertheless, that pick, there is a lot of ultimates getting ready to come online right now. We've got Shattereds and Blizzards and Deadeyes. Oh my, as we see the Deadeye coming out from Seeker, trying to rotate around that statue and just kind of zone him out. The Maywall coming out to keep Cloudy inside, and Onudari does find Seeker. Cloudy with the fat shatter, but just takes them down with the rockets before they can get the follow-up, and that might be exactly what they need. The shatter is fat for Joshua, but the beat gets invested by DeAndre to try to keep them up in this fight. They're looking to see if they can get that first tick, and they are successful. The picks continue to come in. Onudari, Chime just lighting up the kill feed right now as Cloudy now back in the fight, but goes down, ends up getting slammed against the wall, and Onudari answers the call with a minute 30 remaining on the clock. The payload unlocks, and they take to the street.
This is the biggest challenge that Revival has faced, obviously, as we see in this gameplay. I mean, DeAndre gets that beat a bit earlier than Vega, but he has to use it immediately because of that giant shatter that Joshua throws down on 3+ people on the side of Revival. And of course, Vega can then counter beat that and just gives them the advantage and gives them all of that point presence. And then now in the point, and now they have that advantage in Streets phase. As we have both of these divas ready to go with their bombs, what will they do with them is the big question here.
That's going to be an interesting question indeed. Do they wait for the remake, or do they do the Diva Bomb Disco and try to trade them off? Onudari coming out with the Deadeye. Look at this speed. Just speeding them around from Vega, trying to rotate around. The Blizzards coming out now from Chime, looking to grab the value. Does find Cloudy, and the bomb in the middle of the Blizzard grabs the double kill, and that is all she wrote, folks. Revival now on the back foot as the payload continues to push through the streets.
We talked about, hey, what are these Diva Bombs going to do? And we saw that both of them had a decently good idea. Icy tried to throw it out after a lot of that all those cooldowns and utility was used, but Dusk combined it with Chime's Blizzard for devastating effect. And now we're nearing the end of point B, and this is a must-win fight for Revival if they want to hold them.
Ooh, Ant Matrices coming out on either side right now as Onudari trying to create some space, trying to get that. Oh, the stun able to take him out through the Ant Matrix as we see the Immortality field going down. That Shatter coming in from Joshua as they round the corner, and point 2 is captured. 4 minutes remaining on the clock, and Wisp is just not ready to lay down and die.
Yes, Joshua Shatter. Just a little exclamation point on capping that point for Wisp, and they have over 3 minutes and 45 seconds here to be able to finish exactly what Revival did. But will they be able to do so? We'll see here as Nas actually has their own Blizzard ready to go, and Vega is ready to counter with that beat. But Chime is clearing on his own here, and we're going to see both High Noon coming out from Anduari, and I'm sure we're going to see both of these amplification matrix because they build them so fast at this level with all the poke damage that they're taking.
And right now, it's really going to be the message, is Dusk hungry? It is getting to be about dinner time, so let's see if that big old blizzard gonna be eaten. The Deadeye coming out from Anudari, trying to create some space, and the Ant Matrix comes into Dusk, able to run down Cloudy, and that's all they need. As long as the wall is down, they are able to hold it together. Seeker coming out with the Deadeye, and they don't end up finding Chime, but Pascal does, able to get that wall up in time, but not gonna be safe from that Baptiste, but the trades continue to come in. Cloudy ends up finding Sluggo in the back line, but they end up jumping, so they're laying down in the air. Oddly, Joshua coming in with a fat Shatter, does end up finding Seeker in the DMAC onto Icy, but the healing's just not there to keep them up against Cloudy. Cloudy is just so low, and Nas coming back in as the Doom. Chime in on the Doom as well, and now going to try to battle it out on point, but it's not going to be enough. 2 minutes 30 remain on the clock.
Chime didn't get the memo there. He was continuing the frag when it seemed like the rest of his team was resetting. Smart though to go back to the May, but does have to reset the L chart. So both Mays are back to square one with 0%. But what a giant Shatter by Joshua there. Even in the end, just again, getting Shatter after Shatter and value here as we approach this last bit of the fight with 2 minutes remaining.
That's true. They might be under time, but that doesn't mean they're undefeated just yet. The Immortality comes out as we try to see if they can move their way in. The Ant Matrix pulls them off for just a moment, but now we're going to see them move in. Diva Bomb going deep right now. Oh! They thought they weren't safe, but it lands on the boxes and grabs the double kill, and the Icicle was not enough to hold them together. Now the Diva Bomb coming out from Icy ends up finding Vega, but won't be able to get the remech yet. The Deadeye now coming out as Seeker, trying to find Anudari, and does end up being successful. Cloudy able to make their way over the Maywall as the Shatter comes out, ends up grabbing Chime, but can they get into that Icicle fast enough to be able to heal up in this fight? Vega and Joshua able to follow up on DeAndre and Cloudy, and now the Shatter coming out once again from Joshua, but gets taken down by Nas. It is an absolute feed fest in this spawn right now as we see Chime and Vega just trying to see if they can hold on to this objective. They're down to the final minute, but that is it. The Blizzard now invested on the point. They're looking to see if they can just boop them off this objective and seeing if they can create the space that they need to. Now the beat being invested by Vega, the Ambitrix from Sluggo just doling in a ton of damage, but Icy is not scared. They're going to sacrifice their life to keep this point ticking away with 40 seconds remaining on the clock. This feed is huge.
Amazing. This fight hasn't ended, and we've seen this entire time. DeAndre has been in this back corner just free healing everybody on this point, and no wonder why it seems like Wisp is just trying to bang their heads against the wall on this point in the last couple of meters, 1.82 meters, and it still seems like they couldn't get it. DeAndre just literally sitting in the back, Pascal sitting in the back on the Baptiste, just pumping those heal grenades into everybody, and now we're in the last 10 seconds. This is dangerous for Wisp.
There are ultimates online. They got to come up quick, and they got to come up clutch. Let's see if they can make them happen. They're going to come in and be able to touch, triggering overtime, but the Maywall tries to separate out the team, and now the High Noon coming in with the Meteor Strike to seal Anudari's fate, and looking to see if they can get the cleanup onto Sluggo as well, but the Immortality keeps them alive for now. Cloudy able to find some picks as well as Seeker in that backline, able to grab Vega, and they can't touch it. Revival comes back from the dead on the brink of defeat and takes away King's Row as we head into halftime 2-0.
You know, I've been classifying Wisp as the bending but not breaking team here between these two, but Revival just put on a masterclass of being able to stall all these fights as long as possible and then still ending up winning them. And you really couldn't give enough credit to the healers there, especially again Pascal. Like how much the different rotations of touching the point between the the touch for on Tracer, and then the Diva rotates in again, getting healed the entirety of this time, and you had the entirety of Wisp just throwing all they can on this point, and just every time that someone would die, well, someone else can then go and contest. So just that must be a backbreaker for Wisp, because they were so close to not only getting about the same time, but even maybe potentially more, and they had a lot of momentum going into that final point.
Yeah, Wisp is struggling right now. They're matching Revival hit for hit, but it seems that that final bit, Revival is just able to invigorate themselves to be able to hold on through everything that Wisp is throwing at them right now. Do you hear it? Is it in the distance? Is there the beep beep reverse sweep coming after the half? Or will Revival just end it right here, right now, and lay Wisp to rest? We don't know. We're getting ready to find out, but we're going to head into a quick break. We'll be back with more Contenders Trials action in a few moments. Welcome back, folks, to North American Contenders Trials, where we are seeing one spicy matchup going on between Wisp and Revival. Now, these matches have been so close. The score does not do justice to Wisp right now, because honestly, I feel like Revival at this point have met their match and they didn't even know it until today. Wisp has been going toe to toe with them over and over again, but it just seems that Revival won't lay down and die in the final moments that Wisp needs them to. Beak, give us a quick recap, because these teams are ready and raring to go.
They're yelling at us right now on the pod beam. They just want to roll maps, right? They do not have any patience because they're competitors, and that's what it is. And this has been obviously 2-0 for Revival on the scoreline, but like Jack said, this has been extremely close in game, and it's honestly been a game of inches, a game of literal 1.482 meters or something like that on Kings Row, and also just like in seconds, right? I mean, we see both of these teams, like to Jack, we talked about this in the half, they're both making similar mistakes and playing exactly the same things and doing the right things. It's just that Revival is doing it just a fraction better, which is, again, all that's needed in high-level Overwatch, and you're seeing that reflected in the score of 2-0.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part right here. Another thing we were talking about in the half is, sometimes when you're in those brawly fights, the only thing that you can pay attention to is the person in front of you, and you're trying to take them out as quickly as possible. But we saw the rotation from Nos on that Doomfist. They were like, you know what? Somebody is keeping these people alive, and I think I'm gonna go take care of that. All right, so you guys got this. I'm gonna go, and that's exactly what Nos did. They ended up finding Sluggo in the back line. There wasn't an answer to Pascal to try to evenly match that up and take out both heavy healers, and that's really how Revival were able to take Kings Row. But man, these fights have just been so incredibly close, and now with what is looking to be a spawn hold from Revival, it's going to be interesting to see if this will pay off for them or if Wisp will just fly on by.
Yeah, well, it's going to be really quickly. You see Anduari trying to switch to a Widow, trying to get an angle. It's almost like he's playing Valorant, trying to jiggy peek these corners, but eventually we'll swap back to that McCree, and they know what's happening here. It's just a matter of who breaks first.
The point being held right now as we see Icy just absorbing damage there on the side. Going to be able to get above, and Sluggo ends up falling to Seeker early, and the DMAC comes in onto Dusk, but so does Icy, creating a lot of space for them to move. Not going to be able to eat as much damage without your Diva in mech. But with Dusk out of the fight, they're going to be able to try and bring it back. Actually, they did the spawn reset. They didn't even wait for their mech to come back. They know they have the advantage, and Anudari able to find that in the end. And now with the high ground control from that McCree, they're going to continue to get pick after pick, despite the fact that time is ticking down. A minute off the clock as they make their way past the bridge.
Any McCree with a high ground advantage is dangerous for the enemy team, and they are able to finally break through that hold there for Revival, and actually decent time. And I was going to say, if there was any more time taken off from the side of Wisp, and this might spell doom for them, but no, they're able to take this courtyard, and they have some ultimates to boot. Jistro actually is pretty even on the Shatter, but oh my god, Dusk is already out of mech.
They did not anticipate that Amp Matrix right there, and Dusk gets melted, as does Chime. The stagger comes in just a little bit, and another half a minute off that clock.
Exactly what you said. It was just a surprise amplification matrix. I think in an area they didn't exactly expect Pascal, just taking it to them, taking this high ground already, as we see both teams have this Blizzard ready to go. But Vega is actually the one that has the advantage here in the healing and in the ult charge here on going up to that beat, as the rest of Wisp is trying to take this high ground away from Revival.
All right, it seems that they will go ahead and push them back, if not just for a moment. Andudari does have the Deadeye, and there it comes. They're looking for it. The rotation coming around as the Shatter comes out from Joshua, but now the Blizzard gets invested, as does the Deadeye, and it looks like Pascal will find Joshua there in the end. Chime able to hold on to that Blizzard just a moment longer, but Seeker finds their prey, and another 30 seconds off the clock.
And it is good that they hold on to that Blizzard and what ends up being a lost fight. But now you have to look at DeAndre's ult charge, who wasn't close to it before. But now he most certainly will have that ready to be able to counter Chime. And of course, you always have Icy, who's looking to eat some yummy Blizzard treats as well, right? So they're looking to get some Dairy Queen in their diet. But, you know, we have these tank ultimates ready for revival. So this is a really good situation for them, as we only have 1 minute remaining for them.
Ooh, yeah, this rotation is brutal right now. And this is Wisp's last chance. Last opportunity to try to see if they can turn this around, but Joshua falling incredibly low. The Blizzard comes out, and Cloudy just barely able to turn it around. Seeker taking down the Immortality Field, but not soon enough to keep take everybody down. The Shatter from Cloudy is huge, but not having the cleanup there is not going to allow them to continue to hold. It's just not enough for them to hold on. Nos falls low, and no, gets taken down due to the Amp Matrix and has Blizzard on line. The cleanup comes in clutch, and Joshua and the rest of the team going to move up to point A, because this is final fight territory.
And Wisp finally breaks through, but nothing's more tragic than, as a Reinhardt player, getting a massive shatter, but no one being able to follow up and ends up losing the fight. But both DPS ultimates ready to go for revival. This is all coming down to this with this High Noon.
Ooh, the High Noon just zoning it out. They know that payload is ready and raring. The Deadeye gets nothing but DM as they move their way in. The Blizzard coming out from Nos ends up grabbing Joshua as they try to clean it up, but the Maywall separates them out, and the Immortality holds them together. Cloudy comes out with the Shatter once again, gets nothing but Shield. Seeker able to find Vega in the fight, but it's too little too late. Single, double, triple kill coming out from Anudari, and that's it. Overtime will tick away, and Objective Alpha will be captured with 2.5 minutes added to the clock.
And that was close for Wisp, but I mean, good shatter there by Joshua towards the end to lay down some people when they were shooting through the amplification matrix, as they're going to be trying resetting and taking this high ground control here, when this whole fight is going to be taking place on this little ramp in the staircase on this point B of streets. And Chime has this Blizzard ready to go yet again, and DeAndre doesn't have anything to answer this as. So again, it's once again on Icy to be able to negate this, or else this might be a free win for the rest, Wisp and the rest of this team.
All right, let's see if they can lock this down. You see Chime looking for that angle, looking for the perfect place to throw that Blizzard as they go ahead and rotate through the choke. Oh, man, Anduari ends up finding Pascal at the end of that battle rifle, and the Maywall's trapping everyone in. Chime dropping it down. Cloudy not able to get caught in that Blizzard, but it might just be enough as Seeker goes down. Now we're seeing the Amp Matrix invested there from a Sluggo, but now the Blizzard comes in, trying to cancel it out. Dusk sending the Diva Bomb in, doesn't find the damage that it is looking for, though, and DeAndre takes down Dusk before they're able to get into the remake, but the picks continue to come in. Deadeye now coming out from either side, and it's a standoff. They're just standing in front or behind the payload, respectfully, as they continue to hold strong, and control of the high ground goes back to the side of Revival.
The best thing you could say that Revival has done so far is just make these fights last as long as humanly possible. I know it's straining on Captain Jack's lungs here, I'm sure, but that's on purpose, and that's what they want to do, because again, we only have 45 seconds left to go, and they're not even through Streets phase.
Diva Bomb goes high as Icy tries to find the pick, and Vega not able to get into cover fast enough. That extra AoE healing is going to be hard for them to be able to hold on, and with 30 seconds remaining on the clock, they gotta back up. The Maywall comes out from Chime to try to separate, and it looks like that might be enough to hold, but the pick comes in very early. 20 seconds remaining on the clock, and it's final fight territory once
DeAndre
again.
was out for blood there and ends up getting picked off early, so advantage Wisp here.
Ooh, the Blizzard comes in, not able to get eaten by Icy once again, and Cloudy out of the fight. Seeker able to get the trade onto Anduari, and that might be enough for them to hold on. Icy trying to eat, but unfortunately the iciness is not something you can eat. It's just not possible. The immortality keeping Joshua alive as they just swing for the stars, tackling Cloudy, and Objective 2 is captured once again.
Waving the Finnish Overwatch, ex-Overwatch player goodbye as he goes back to spawn. Again, Wisp just refuses to sit down here as Joshua has that shatter ready to go against Cloudy, who has his own. And we're going to see the same thing play out as we've seen multiple times. We're going to have both of those high noons come out. We're going to see Slugo throw out that amplification matrix, get that wall out, get the immortality field out, and then their true fight will begin.
Ooh, high noon coming out from Seeker, indeed seeking those heads, looking to see if they can find the value. The shatter goes into the backline, but so does Cloudy's, and it is just a slugfest right now. The Diva Bomb goes high, and Dusk sticks with it to keep from being picked off, but Icy is found in the end, and now Dusk trying to hold on for dear life as we see Joshua trying to come back from spawn, but it's not going to be soon enough. 30 seconds remaining on the clock as we head third time into final fight territory.
It's like we're repeating ourselves here, but we'll look at the ultimates that Revival has to play with now. We still have both Blizzards here, so we'll see some frozen icicles here. And beats are on line for both of these teams, so it really does matter. Maybe Pascal can find a pick with an amplification mix before this fight begins. We'll see, but it's all going to be on the DM here.
Both Divas gotta look for that eat as we see the Deadeye come out from Anduari. The Blizzard ends up coming in from Chime, but gets overlapped by Nos. Perfectly Icy, able to find Sluggo in the backline, but Joshua ends up getting the pick, and oh! The Amp Matrix comes in clutch. It deletes any remaining player of Wisp, and they will take control 52.59 meters past Objective Bravo.
This is why the amplification matrix, we almost think of it as a throwaway ult, right? Just because in this meta, how fast these flex supports get it, literally probably less than every minute. But there's a value there is that Pascal actually held off that amplification matrix until later in the fight when there is no cooldowns to be saved for the rest of Wisp. And you saw how much damage was getting passed in. I mean, we saw it through the Diva's point of view, but everyone was behind that thing, just pumping in damage, especially after that beat was expiring from Vega. And that was expertly done by Revival. And again, just how slow they were playing those fights, how long they were taking was master class. And now they have a very clear-cut line in the sand, as you had said, for this match win and a 4-0 record in this Contenders trials. But Wisp is not done yet. I mean, we saw them how many times go into an overtime fight looking like it might not go their way, only to find that big shatter or that big pick by Anduari or big freeze by Chime. This team is very good, and they are never quitting on themselves or the rest of their teammates. And let's see how long they can do that spawn camp here on Rialto on this defense.
I think the big question is, are they going to be anticipating the drop from above? We will see if that will indeed be the case as we see the rotation coming in. They know exactly where they are, and there it comes. They're dropping down. They're ready and raring to go as the battle comes out and the card starts moving. The Maywall separating out the team, and Seeker finds Dusk after the DMEC incredibly quickly. Cloudy falling low, but we see the freeze coming in, and Sluggo gets taken down. Seeker again, that McCree on the high ground, you don't want to miss him, and a click, boom, coming out right now as we see the map taking control and the payload moving forward.
And we see that Wisp jumps down or tries to go towards the point, but they really didn't take a super aggressive fight. They more just wanted to take a neutral fight on the point near spawn. And Revival just took clear advantage of that. Seeker just going to town, whether it be Mick right-clicking or just dinking heads, just getting all that value on that McCree, and he already is 80% of the way there to that high noon, which you know will be kind of thrown out at a whip.
Ooh, Joshua caught out of position, ends up getting taken down by the McRae click, and now Nos trying to see if they can hold on for dear life. Cloudy has that shatter online, but they're not even gonna need it. They clean up the point once again as they head into Objective Alpha.
And Revival is looking perfect here as they go into this last part of point A. And look at the ultimates that are coming online, and you notice that they're actually running a Zarya here, right? They're not using that D.Va as they had before. So with this wall already coming out in this high noon, they're trying to get some space, but they might not get it what they want here.
Ooh, the shatter comes in from Cloudy, ends up finding Joshua in the midst, but the immortality tries to hold them up, but they're just outside of it. It's not enough, and the picks just continue to come in. 4 minutes 50 as they make their way to Objective Bravo.
Yeah, this is really good so far, especially Revival as they get this free high ground after that contest on point A. And Icy has this grab, and we haven't seen much Zarya play throughout this Contenders trials, but now we get to see the dance between the Zarya and the D.Va in Dusk and see if that Graviton will be eaten. And we have to see what they'll combo, if anything, with it. I mean, Nas and a grab would be disastrous for the side of Wisp, but they do have that that beat almost ready and online.
All right, let's see if they can lock this down. It's going to take all their mental to be able to get out of the combinations that we see Revival having in that pocket. And it wouldn't be surprised if the Graviton just goes right against that wall and holds them right in place. DeAndre does have that beat online if they need it to get it going, and the wall comes up for Chime. The Blizzard comes in huge, though, but the Maywall comes up from Nas to try to keep them at bay, and they will survive for now as Chime ends up getting taken down. It's a 5v6. The Seeker is on the point. The Deadeye does come out from Anduari, looking to see if they can find that pick, and Dust does find Nas after the Icicle wears away. With it being a 5v6 in the opposite direction now, it looks like they will have room to breathe as Wisp take control.
And so impressive because Dusk has to worry about multiple things here. You need to worry about eating the Graviton, worry about eating the Blizzard there. And not only did he was able to successfully negate some of those, not by eating, but just by having to use it, and Seeker just dinking people from the high ground, just disgusting. And Dwari here too. I mean, it's just been time and time again, these McCrees are so skilled.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were trying to move their way in. Trades of the Shatters, and it just seems that Jishua's comes up heavy right there. Anduari is clicking heads left to right and center as they retake control of the objective once again.
And that grab didn't really do anything. All those kills were already coming in for Wisp when that grab got thrown out. So we see Icy eventually go back to that D.Va. The Zarya experiment was worth the try. But again, I mean, Dusk was up to the task because not only he was getting kills with his bomb as well, so just credit to Dusk, just playing out of his mind right now.
All right, Anduari looking for that. The Deadeye looking to zone this out as quickly as they possibly can. The Amp Matrix looking to get ready to be invested there from Pascal to try to counter that, to try to zone them off that objective. There it comes. Deadeye coming out, gets some damage in, but gets a lot of defense matrix as well, and there it comes. There's the Amp looking to dole that damage through as the Deadeye comes out from a Seeker looking to melt anything and everything in their way. Chime has that Blizzard online. They've got to catch Icy out of position. They do not want to see this big eat come to fruition. There it comes. The Blizzards come in looking to see if they can get the follow-up, and Vega and Anduari do get those picks, but it might be too little too late right now. The mini D.Va of Icy trying to slug it out with Sluggo, but it's not enough, and now the Ant Matrix invested from Sluggo, pouring in all the heals to keep them on this point, and a minute 25 remains on the clock.
Again, so impressed with Wisp just being able to sustain through all the different, like the kitchen sink that Revival is throwing at them, and still being able to come back, as we see Chime comes back on this Tracer, eventually swaps men back to the May just to be able to contest. I mean, things got real hairy there for a second, but now Joshua gonna have the Shadow ready to go, and Dwari has really been the highlight of the defense here, just dinking people left and right. And that's really when you know Wisp is working in all cylinders, is when Anduari is lighting up his kill feed.
All right, the Blizzard is on a line, but there is a lot to counter it and a lot of other ultimates coming in. It's really going to be the chance for Anduari and the rest of the team to try to lock this down early. The D.Va bomb from Icy just gets invested for the remake as they try to move their way into the objective. They only have 30 seconds remaining on the clock. The jump out from Cloudy gets nothing but Chime's wall with the shatter, and here comes the Blizzard and the beat invested. There comes the kitchen sink. 4 ultimates invested. They want to grab this objective, and Chime will end up falling in the midst, but it might not be enough. Joshua able to find Icy in the chaos, but we see the DMAC come in as well. 10 seconds remaining on the clock as the pick comes in. Shatter coming in from Joshua. Can Joshua turn this around? The tackle comes in, gets a ping on the Cloudy, but Seeker finds them instead, and we will see the take down of Joshua in return onto Ari. Now coming out with the Deadeye. They're trying to zone out as much as possible because overtime ticking away. Nobody's going to be coming back on the heroes they want to see. They're all feeding into the objective with everything as speedy as possible because we are in the clutch right now. Wisp needs to hold on to this.
And we see as the overtime finally ticks down.
Wow.
Wisp finally gets this win, but I really want to highlight how nuts Dusk was in that last part of the fight. I mean, I don't think Joshua was able to play the game for like 10 straight seconds, but it didn't matter because his health bar only got down to like half because of just being able to body block for him a little bit and also just using that full defense matrix. That is how you protect your main tank right there, ladies and gentlemen. And that was a master class by Wisp and just finally putting the stop to Revival, giving them their second map loss of this entire Contenders trial. And this is going to be a match.
It is indeed gonna be a match. I had to take a breath right there because I thought they were gonna recontest, but Wisp, just with the aggression that they had from the spawn advantage that they had, were able to push Revival back so they couldn't get a full touch in that overtime. And we said that Wisp was gonna give them a run for their money, and now with the score being 2-1, I hear it. Do you hear it? Beep, beep. So everybody get your brooms because I think Wisp is ready for that reverse sweep.
Yeah, I don't think that Revival's feeling sweaty, feeling the pressure yet. I mean, I think that again they've lost one map so far, but Wisp is easily, I think, the best competition they've faced so far in this tournament. Every one of these games, because honestly, have gone either way. And now that we're going to be heading into Lijiang Tower, it's another control map, all of our favorites, and honestly one of my favorite control maps here. Anything could happen when you go to control center, especially in Lijiang, right? So this is another good opportunity for either of these teams to be able to get that last win that they might need, or for Wisp perspective, try and tie the series up because it's very winnable for them.
Absolutely. And really, if we go back to Nepal, it was close. Well, I would say the first 2 maps weren't close between these 2 teams, but then you go to map 3 and it was a 99-99, and you just gotta hope that Revival has a plan here to knock this out 2-0, because if they let Wisp get their hooks in this objective, they may not let go. We may tie this up, and let's see, where have we not headed yet? We've got our control, we've got our escort, and we got our hybrid. So that only leaves 2 CP, which could be tied. We could be heading to a map 6 series.
Oh man, don't tease us like that. Come on, bro.
Is it teasing or spelling out our own demise as casters? That's the first question.
You know what? Again, like we said, we're here to entertain. We want to have fun. We want to show the audience fun as well, even if it's our own detriment and our own voice's detriment. But I mean, we might see again Revival is picking this map because they did lose that last map. But you do see maybe LH Cloudy and Icy come out on that double main tank composition that worked pretty well on Nepal Village there. I mean, of course, Wisp was able to be wise to it in Sanctum. So the question is, for me, will they go back to that? And I think, especially now we head into Lijiang Control Center, this is a very strategic, very straightforward, lineup that you can run here, where you do see the sim does sometimes come out. You do see some Junkrat occasionally, but I still doubt that we'll see anything different from the May McCree that we've been seeing so much of, because both of these teams can run it to a very high level, and they've been having success with it. So why would you ever rotate away from that? The one notable thing, again, Ice is going to try and go back to this Zarya, and I do see some Zaryas sometimes in control centers, so this isn't the craziest thing in the world, but we'll see if it works out for him.
This is absolutely insane. We're heading into Control Center now, and the high ground is already taken by Revival. But we've seen this before, and it's always so interesting when the high ground isn't taken by one of the teams and they take the objective instead, and it ends up working out for them. But Cloudy able to find that immortality, and the picks just come in. Icy able to melt Chime down and back to spawn, and that's exactly what they need. Wisp hoping the rotation would work for them, but it looks like Revival takes the objective.
And I really do love this variation of this brawl composition when you have the Doomfist and then you go out with the Zarya and you only invest your projected bubbles in that Doomfist, just taking as much damage and causing as much havoc as possible in the back line of the enemy team. And again, because there's no bubbles to protect that other main tank, to bully them, or even that back line. So really smart to be able to play this, and this is exactly why they chose this map.
All right, they're heading on to the high ground now as the Maywall comes out from Chime, trying to separate out Cloudy, but going to be unsuccessful. Going to be able to get into that MO as we see the Ant Matrixes invested on either side. Icy with that 80% charge, just sending that right click over and over and over again. Seeker trying to see if they can find that pick. The Shatter coming in, able to get the fall onto Anduari, but not able to get the follow-up in time. The trades come in 2 for 2, 3 for 2 right now, and it might just be enough for them to continue to hold control.
Just when I thought Wisp had that control on that high ground in the white room above those stairs and on the point, it just seemed like Revival claws their way back. Big projected bubble onto LH Cloudy right when Joshua was shattering. I don't know if Cloudy got his shield down or not, but it didn't matter because of that proactiveness for Icy. Now he has his grab ready to go. Nos is almost nearing his own ultimate, so we might see a grand slam coming here.
Ooh, that may indeed be the case. Nos has that Meteor Strike ready and raring to go, and Icy is looking to get aggressive with this grab, holding them all right in place. The beat invested from Vega as the Meteor Strike comes down, but Nos falling incredibly low. They continue to hold strong at the 92% mark. It looks like we will go ahead and see Wisp take control and not a pick to be had.
Man, despite the Space Jam attempt there by Revival, still ends up losing that fight, but they do have Blizzard ready to go in the side of Wisp, ready to be able to defend us, but they're going to be smart at Revival and just back up here. They don't want to take any damage, any poke extra from this Amplification Matrix.
Yeah, they do pull on back and go ahead and get that regroup to heal up. But there's a lot of ultimates on the side of Wisp. It's going to take everything they have to try to lock this down. The Blizzard and Amp coming out to try to counter one another. The Shatter from Joshua ends up getting the cleanup right there. And wow, Vega is like, okay, I'm tired of y'all lighting up the kill feed. It's my turn. All right, it's my turn. 40% and climbing for Wisp.
It is 40%, but you have to look at where Revival has to be able to take this one last fight. Cloudy has that Shatter, ever so dangerous. And again, you have to be able to always spot out where Nos is going to be coming from if you're Wisp, and that's going to be the key to the game for where Wisp wants to turn this around.
High Noon now coming out from Seeker, looking to see if they can find the value they're looking for, and Dusk using the Diva Bomb to try to zone, and will get quite a bit of damage in. The Shatter goes in through the window, and Nos is able to pick off Vega in return, but the picks are just coming in massive. That Amp Matrix doling out tons of damage from Anduari, not able to catch them in time, and the grab used too little, too late. Oh, maybe not. Pascal able to use that to their advantage, and the Amp Matrix still available as we see the swap right on back over, and it is a feed fest right now. Cloudy falling incredibly low as the beat is invested from Vega to try to keep the team up, and the Meteor Strike comes in from Nos to bring them back to the point as quickly as possible. Anduari coming in with the Deadeye, looking to see who they can find, but the point is still in control from Wisp. It's so close, so far away right now as they continue to feed their way in. High Noon coming out from Seeker finds Vega on the high ground, and overtime ticks away now once again, and that is it. Revival in 100-94 takes the control center and the lead.
What a fast and furious whole point that was, Jack, honestly. I mean, there's just so many dynamics going on, especially with that Zarya. You see Icy swap to the ball towards the end, but DeAndre getting that beat towards that last part, and Vega having to invest the beat just because of the value that Pascal was getting. He got a couple picks, and you also had Seeker still on the point. Goes to that high ground on those stairs, uses the amplification matrix, puts so much damage into Slugo and the rest of the Wisp team that was coming back from spawn that they had to invest that beat the moment that Cloudy was starting to aggress on them. So, I mean, just expertly played by Revival, and now they are up 1 here, and they just need 1 more point.
That is exactly all they need. Let us see if they can go ahead and lock this down and lock it down quick as we go ahead and see them already making their way around the pillar. Both teams trying to use it to their advantage, but Vega gets picked off early, and that might be all she wrote right there. Not having the speed to be able to rotate and Mick right-click over and over until Seeker makes Joshua fall, and that is going to be it. Control going over to Revival.
And not only that, I mean, you also had Revival with that a pick onto Vega, but also getting the advantage around that stat or that kind of middle pillar there in the courtyard, and just Cloudy was able to take that angle and just push into them and had the back up. So now Wisp is going to be forced into taking the white ground or the white air room here, but already gets a pick on the Pascal. That's huge, because that's all their healing output, honestly.
Oh, yes, that is huge for them to go ahead and rotate in, but Nos and Cloudy end up finding picks of their own. The Shatter comes in from Cloudy, looking to see if they can clean up the rest, and it looks like it is going to be a stagger fest right now off this objective. 30% in climbing for Revival.
I think that kill got credited to Ryan or there and Cloudy.
Yeah.
But I really think it was more DeAndre getting the boop there as they were trying to pass that bridge, and Nos getting another pick. I think really just a stagger onto Dusk there. Gonna have to do a hard reset, though. They're not gonna be able to take this fight until 50% in climbing, as both of these teams have this Blizzard ready to go. But DeAndre, look at the advantage that they have in that beat ultimate charge. I mean, just because Vega got cut out so early in that first fight, wasn't able to generate anything.
That is absolutely true. Let's see what will live and what will be strong. The Venn diagram of Blizzards comes out once again. A Seeker just trying to zone out as much as possible. The percentage continues to climb, and Nos, actually no Venn diagram. Nos held on to the Blizzard, and there it comes. Dust able to bring it on in. The patience pays off for Revival as they just clean it up in a mass fury. Team kill rings loud as it's Wisp's last chance to take the point into their control.
You saw once Nos was able to get onto Dusk and freeze them, it was just a free Blizzard with getting 3 to 4 people and just lighting up the kill feed. And this is it for Wisp, do or die. They are going to have a Shatter and Bomb coming in here, but it's just a matter of someone's got to contest this. What if they wall this off? This might be dangerous. So they do wall through the wall, but they're going to be able to try and take this and touch.
Ooh, High Noon coming out from Onduare, looking to see if they can find some value around this pillar. Diva Bomb coming out with the Shatter, looking to follow up, but just out of range. And we will see the cleanup now coming in. The Shatter comes in as well from Cloudy, but not able to get the follow-up they're looking for. And now the Amp Matrix coming out from a Sluggo, looking to see if they can pop out all that damage, but return fire coming in from the side of Revival. Onduare does end up finding Nos in the end, but is that pick enough? DeAndre finds Chime as well with both Mays off the point, and the die now coming out from the McCree of Revival. It's not gonna, oh no, Seeker finds himself off the side, rolls a little bit too far due to Dusk bumping them back, and wow, Wisp just claws their way right back in.
And we've seen this happen time and time again. And not only that, they actually got point control halfway through that fight, right? So that was all free build up for them as they already have 50%. This is going to be somewhat dangerous for Revival if they're not careful, because they have some powerful ultimates coming up in store, does Wisp. They have that Blizzard ready to go. They're going to have a Shatter, and they have that Bomb. And there's some notable, kind of advantages there over Cloudy and Icy, even if they do build them relatively quickly. This can be, pretty dangerous for Revival.
Ooh, there we go. We see the Blizzard coming in from Chime. We're in that little choke right there aside the wall, and that is all she wrote. That's all they needed. The Amp Matrix does come out from Sluggo as well, but with Cloudy out of the fight, we see Revival pull back for another bout.
They only had to really use Blizzard there, right? They still have Shadow, they still have the bomb, and able to remech and give Dust that extra life, or be able to throw it after all those cooldowns are used. But now this is final fight territory for both of these teams. This match, it really all comes down to this. If Wisp isn't careful.
Amp and Deadeye coming out from either side as the Deadeye does end up finding Dusk, but the Diva Bomb is invested as well. Cloudy trying to tackle in as Pascal does find Jishua with both tanks off the objective. It's 99 to 99. Somebody has got to touch this objective. Sluggo trying to find their way back, but not going to be soon enough. Revival walks away with the 3-1, continuing to solidify their top standing in the trials.
I mean, we just saw, though, both of these teams are incredible and deserve to be at the top of this leaderboard. I mean, but that final fight just so close, but eventually being decided by that High Noon getting Dusk out of mech, and then laying a Shatter down by Cloudy, just being kind of the result and just laying those kills all the way down. It was just too much for Wisp to bear, and again, they eventually do break. And as much as we like to say that they weren't breaking, they eventually go down to Revival 3-1. But I mean, that score line, even if it is 3-1, was a lot closer than it suggested.
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and throw it to a quick break as we wait to get the representative from Revival in for a quick interview. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back. We have the left clicker themselves from Revival, Seeker, coming in. Now, Seeker, I have to say, at least up here in the production booth, that was a furiously close match. The score does not do justice for the fight that Wisp put up against y'all. What kind of preparation did you all put in against them for this match?
Well, we knew that they were some pretty big fans of Cloudy, almost exactly copying his playstyle and knowing what he does every time. So, you know, we just, if there are fans, we just, you know, treat them like fans, right? We
Yeah,
right.
That's true. I think Cloudy's, inspired Ryans around the world these days. You see a Reddit post on him almost every other day now. I really want to talk about, you guys end up choosing control Lijiang Tower to be that game deciding map, and you guys roll out with that Zarya and that Doomfist. Just talk about what you guys wanted to really do with that, and I mean, it was very effective. So you just want to kind of walk through your thought process in picking that composition.
Well, the way they play is really passive. Like they're pretty scared of us. So if we play D.Va, we kind of don't get any value. So if we play Zarya, we kind of just break their shields and we just bubble our Doom in for free energy. And if they're just playing passive, the Zarya is just better than the D.Va.
Interesting. Well, you have quite the match coming up or later this week as well with Susanoo. I mean, y'all are sitting at the top. It's really not a worry, I would imagine, for Contenders, but is it going to be a quick 5-0?
Yeah, it should be. I don't think we're going to drop them that. Susanoo's pretty boomed. They've lost, like, what, 2 games in a row?
Yeah. It has definitely been hard for them. Any other additional questions you got for them, Beak?
Yeah, I'd say now that you've started to play most of these teams, is there any one of them that you think were, you know, the most closest to you guys in these standings, or is it Wisp tonight?
It's definitely Wisp. These guys were actually pretty good. Even though they were big fans and copied a lot of things we did, I think they're definitely the second best rush team.
Was imitation is the highest form of flattery, right?
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, do you have anyone that you would like to shout out for your victory tonight?
I would like to shout out Eagle Gaming for always, I have an Eagle Gaming poster in front of my computer. Every time we're in breaks, every time in between maps, I look up and I just know to rush cart.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be seeing you very soon as you head into your next match.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, that comes to the end of our Contenders trial day. Wow, what an absolutely jam-packed set of action going on here. Honestly, Beak, I cannot believe the styles, the eliminations, the trades that have just been coming out for these teams as they claw their way into those top 4 positions.
Yeah, we really saw it all today. And I said at the top of the broadcast, we were on a fact-finding mission today, right? To see what are the narratives that are going to be continuing for these teams in some of their most critical games. And I think we started to find a lot of answers. We saw Susanoo failing to win their game. We saw Saints stepping up and winning that match. And we saw Revival continuing the dominance, even if they met someone that was closer in competition in Wisp. But Wisp has to feel good about how they played today and their place in the standings as they go forward.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a quick look at what we're going to be seeing tomorrow night. In the EMEA division, we'll be seeing Shoes Money Crew going up against a New Kings, soon followed by... Really? I think we have a mix-up in the schedule from what I see, because I see Oldenburg versus Young and Beautiful, and I'm pretty sure we've already had that matchup here. So going into the North American division, we will be seeing the Maryville Saints versus Ardor, and then going to be followed up with Wisp versus Obey Alliance. So, man, these fights are just going to be I'm reading the schedule wrong. I forgot we switched things up. That's where I'm wrong. Shoes Money Crew versus Oldenburg, New Kings versus Young and Beautiful, Ardor versus Wisp, and Saints versus Obey Alliance. There you go. All right, folks. It has been an incredible day. Beak, you have anything else to shout out before we sign off for the night?
Not at all. Just a great day of Overwatch. Happy to be casting with you, Jack, and continue to support T2 and Tier 3.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to Vinicius for producing for us tonight. That's Beak. My name's Captain Jack, and we hope you all have a wonderful evening.